So we have,
A budget amendment request.
right, oh, there's.
So we'll do that part. Oh, yeah, that's a big table today.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start by making a budget request, a budget amendment request on behalf of the Office for Aging. We recently received a supplement from NYSOFA in the amount of $198,966 for fiscal year 25-26, with the funding of unmet needs. Unmet needs funding requires no local match. This is 100% state funds allocated to us. At this time, we're requesting to use 149,000 of that funding in 2025 to purchase items like home delivered meal supplies and to use it to offset local cost share and other programs. The additional 49,966 is already included in our revenue projections for 2026.
Okay, we need a motion to move that to finance, right? Dave? Second by. I'll second it. Daryl? All in favor? Aye. Yours.
Yep, now finance, we need the same thing. Moved by Dave, second by Sam. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you very much. The next item that I have up is I'd like to share with everyone some recent events. We fall under the Association on Aging in New York. And recently, the Association on Aging had applied for a federal grant called the Older Adult Home Modification Grant, and they were awarded the money. At this time, Washington County, along with Warren and Hamilton counties, are piloting this program. It is a program that is focused on serving income eligible adults age 62 years of age and older. They can rent or own their primary residence. And at this time, we're setting a limit per household in the amount of 5,000 towards a home modification. So home modifications, home repairs is a topic that comes up every year when I do my public hearing. At this time, my department doesn't have the funding to accommodate home modifications such as bathroom modifications, minor repairs to the outside of the home, minor electrical work, and doing such things as replacing thermostats and such. So fact that Association on Aging applied for the very first federal grant and were awarded the money is super impressive. And my purpose for sharing this now is because we really want to get the word out to our residents of Washington County and have them call our office if they're interested in such of a home modification. So if you know anybody in your community that you think could really benefit from this, again, thinking about their living conditions, thinking about how they can stay in their home for a period of time that are in need of such home modification, please reach out to our office and we will assist them. I do have a summary sheet here that I'm also going to pass out to everyone. I'm going to send them all this way. Thank you.
That might be something we want to post in our town offices.
Correct.
Well, I'm
I
guessing.
appreciate that.
On the website? Okay. I'm sure it's also.
Right now, there's a limit of 5,000 per household. So if there is a household that is a family household, the family income will be considered. The individuals at 62 years of age or older must be on the lease or the deed of the house. That there is a total amount of households that have family properties. So the total, they're going to open this up across the state. So this is where it's very time sensitive, where I really want to take advantage of this as much as possible for our Washington County residents. The 5,000 is there, but I could tell you that there's flexibility to that, as well as flexibility to the types of modifications as well.
They would just contact your office.
Yes, please.
I have a second resolution.
That was TSS.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the, minor.
Well, we're
Continue
still,
with OFP or choose the
oh,
resolutions.
well, it says Office for the Aging on it.
Sure, we can switch gears.
No, it says Office for the.
This is
all
all,
it's together.
That's both.
It's up, which is together, but I just think you doing the regular business before we get into
Oh,
the budget,
right.
that's all I was. I just didn't wanna throw everybody off.
I have two more items. Can I go?
Yep.
Okay, two more items which I just handed out. As you know, every year we do a health and wellness fall festival. The date is for tomorrow, which is why I wanted to bring it to the committee today. There was some difficulty coming up with the date, creating a venue, and such. So at this time, we really encourage everyone, particularly those who have questions about their Medicare insurance, to come to tomorrow's event. We have several, if not all, Medicare providers on site. We're expecting a lot of changes. As of today, Medicare providers can talk about those changes. They weren't privy to do so before today. So tomorrow is really the great opportunity to sit down, particularly with one of our information specialists, with one of our high cap trained individuals who provide some unbiased information regarding plans that suit their. And the last item that I wanted to talk about, and I did send out an email, is the request for everyone to post the public hearing flyer. I do have some extra ones here today, if anybody wants any extras to post in their community. But again, this is a requirement under New York State Office for Aging to hold a public hearing about Office for Aging programs and services. It's the perfect time to gather information from our residents across the county. As I mentioned earlier, home modification repairs always comes up, so I'm very excited on October 16th to talk about that, how we're bringing that into the county, letting everybody know that we are truly listening to their concerns and to their unmet needs. So next we'll move on to the next resolution.
Yes.
So the next resolution is for social services budget side. We are looking to transfer funds between social services appropriations to cover ongoing increases in demand for detention transportation and anticipated third quarter 2024 OCFS detention invoices. Unspent funds are available in our vehicle line due to lower than projected vehicle purchase prices for 2025. So we're asking to move 25,000 from our 0.2 vehicle line into our 6123 juvenile delinquent line. The revenue implications are really kind of it's a zero implication in the end. We're looking at increased revenue based on the children that are being served, falling into certain categories and providing for reimbursement. And then that same 25,000, we would anticipate that if we had spent it on a vehicle, it would have had some revenue. So we're moving that out of admin and into the JD line.
okay. May I have a motion for that?
I'd make you bring that in the committee.
Nate's on the committee.
I'll move it.
And then Joe at the second, if he wants to.
He
on the
did.
committee. Okay, then all in favor?
Okay, bye.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
Oh, I am in the committee.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I lost my head.
I know it's been a long day. Just floating in your eyes. I hope you find it for the.
I think I'm in the right room.
Okay, in finance, I need a motion to move. Moved by Dave, second by Sam. We got you this time. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, carried. Very good. We're on to the budget, wherever we're starting.
I'd like to start by sharing with everyone, again, Office for Aging has an MOU with the Department of Social Services, and we have a combined budget as such. So we have with us our travel plans and our organizational charts. So I'll pass these out.
And in regards to, if you don't mind me just taking a quick minute. And I've been in the seat now for 2 days. Monday and Tuesday. This is day number 3 for me. I'm very appreciative of all the support and what I've gotten in these past 2 days. We've been working diligently on this budget and trying to get things in line the best we can. We do have some more to work on to try to help the process even more. But what I've seen so far is that we've got a very caring and dedicated staff that serve this county. They understand the duty, protect our county's children and elderly and our most vulnerable populations. And Advisor Campbell, I appreciate you earlier recognizing that sometimes we're at the mercy of difficult mandates and subpar reimbursements. So we're working through that, and we're here to do everything we can to help us in this process. I appreciate you saying it. And I have to my left here Becky Palmer. I am certainly not, even though we spent about 7 hours out of the last 2 days so far, these folks teaching me or trying to teach me about it. Becky has been just critically important as our directors and helping me understand things. And I felt it best being that Becky kind of lives in this budget world more significantly more than I do, especially currently, that she would lead us to some of these conversations.
And being that I'm new to this role, please bear with me. If there's any questions that come about that's specific to the programs, I'm gonna be referring to each of the directors based on the program that we're discussing at the time. So we're gonna start with revenue, and DSS revenue begins on page 14. If we were to look at the highlights, or am I to go through every line?
Highlights would be great, but we may end up going through every
Highlights would
line.
be
I
great,
don't know.
okay,
I see the very first lines cut in half, or close to it.
correct.
2,000.
So that is actually when the county takes in funds related to Medicaid recoveries. When there is an individual that had a home and they needed to have Medicare cost paid for them, or health related costs, we are able to capture that funding. However, you're going to see in later lines in the 0.3 and 0.4 sections, we are obligated to send that money on to New York State. We cannot keep it here because we don't pay the benefits, Medicaid benefits to the providers. That happens at the state level. Therefore, they feel that they need this money back. So it's in there, but it will be reversed by the money that we have to send back. Repayments of family assistance, those are rare cases. And as far as having it, they're related to family assistance, and it's money that we take in directly. Specifically, if there is a payment that went to a vendor and they need to send it back to us because, let's say, a landlord moved. A client moved from an apartment and the landlord didn't notify us in time, we might get a check back. So there's nothing in that line at the moment. And I'm not really sure that that's something that we would want to plan on because it doesn't always happen. 6010 1811 is money that we receive for the work that our child support staff do. It's incentive earning. It's part of the money that they take in. We get to keep a portion of it. Repayments of childcare on line 1819. That's when we get a refund locally on foster care expenses. It happens very rarely. Also, nothing budgeted on that line. 6010 1829 is meal reimbursements. Any of our child welfare staff that attend the mandated trainings that they have to have in order to be able to perform the duties of their positions, have the ability, or they just do it, request for reimbursement of their meal cost from the training provider. And so while we do reimburse them the cost of their meals, if they're eligible to receive that money from the training provider, they're required to give it to us so that we can offset county cost. Repayments of safety net, local, again, those would be refunds. When a payment, let's say a landlord says, I don't need this payment, the client has moved, we then take it in as a refund. Repayments of daycare happen probably almost, well, it looks like maybe one a year. And we do, however, see an increase this year because of some recent fraud investigations that have resulted in additional money coming back to the agency.
I have a question.
Sure.
So we look at 2025 adopted budget, we put money in each one of those years.
We did.
And I look at, especially in the first line, there's 1, 2, and this year up to 145 actual amount this year. Why do we opt not to put anything this, budget anything this year?
So it's actually, you want to address that, Al, or
It'll be interesting.
yes?
Hold that thought.
Okay.
Okay, the A 6010-2210-06 is intergovernmental charges. There are sometimes that we're able to get some money back for services that we might provide. And I would love to be able to give an example of that, but at the moment, it's not coming to me quickly. And a lot of these things are based on trend too. If you look at previous years, a lot of our stuff, because of the timing of revenue versus when the expenses are incurred, is never quick. And that's hard to reflect on paper. Interest and earnings, 0 budgeted for 2026 because any interest that we were receiving through the child support bank account has been eliminated by the state. Refunds of prior years are never budgeted. We wish we didn't get them on occasion, but it does happen. Gifts and donations, the 6010-2705 is a reflection of money that we have coming in for our food pantry account. And you'll see a line further down in the expenses where we'll show that have the potential of spending some of that money. They are all donations and there is no county dollar in that. So the first of our Medicaid givebacks are on 6010-3601. And we do not budget any money coming in on that because it's the money going out that's credited to 6010-1801. So this is where the money goes back out to the state. 6010-3609. Aid to dependent children isn't a big number for us, but again, you're gonna see more going down the road about that. 6010-3610, state aid for social services admin. Going by trends exclusively, we do know that there's going to be administrative cuts in Medicaid, SNAP, childcare. There's a lot of cuts that have been suggested to us going into this next year. State aid for childcare is going to appear on a lower line. State aid for juvenile delinquents is also going to appear on a lower line. Same for safety net. Emergency aid for adults. State aid for daycare. This is all part of the initiative to move us into the ability to report net cost as opposed to here's the expense and here's the revenue.
And for Brian, that's the answer to your question. So earlier this year, you did a budget resolution you move some of these into the sub departments below, so you can see the net cost of each of those.
Yeah, I can so. To play off of it at the same time, even though I know I'm jumping the gun, OFA has a whole group of,
I was hoping you were the,
she has a whole group of expenses. That appears on the DSS budget, and I would like to move that, put them together, especially with just having a change in leadership. It's like the perfect time to remember that all happened at that same time. So it shows here still being under DSS. I'd like them to be separated out, and Al would love to do that. I don't know if we need permission from the board, but we can't think of any reason why it's been left that way. It was put that way back, and Sam might remember this, when we
Point of
did point of entry.
But eventually, yep.
So we don't know why it mattered in the budget at that time unless it was to just receive
So we
money
don't-
back.
we
Yeah,
don't,
it was
we don't
yeah,
think
it was a
the,
mechanism the state recommended back then.
we don't think that the general ledger needs to reflect the cooperation of.
Right,
So the only thing that we won't touch is the point ones, right?
right.
We don't want to start messing with how staff interacts with each other. But there are OFA contracts that are currently buried within the DSS budget. We'd like to get things that are direct OFA expenses into this OFA department.
Yeah.
So like if you have a contract with the jail, that contract might currently show at 6010 rather than 6772. So that's what he's,
It'll
We wanna-
make the net
things that
cost
are-
align better.
the things that are directly identify all those OFA split out into the OFA department.
That makes sense to you, Gina?
It does. I question items, like postage, all the other.
We won't get that
line
far in the
item.
weeds.
We won't get
Okay.
that far in the weeds,
Thank
so, no, it's
This
just
will be
that
like
one
direct
block,
contract expenses.
it's that one block with the
The- yeah.
contracts.
Right.
That'd be included allocating salaries.
No,
Sure.
we won't get that far
We
in
won't
because
go
they do
that far
that through
in.
their state aid.
Right. Just trying to realign it so we get the actual picture as well.
Because I don't think we have a clear picture of either department currently until you blend them together and then they lose their identity.
Right. So that's a shot we're gonna take when we get to that. But it doesn't change anything in the actual numbers of the budget at this point.
Right, that nothing changes in total.
How you structure it.
It's, you know, that,
It'll be how it's structured on what lines in the budget.
it's that nuisance bean counter over the corner that.
Yes, it'll be under,
Gotta serve a purpose for everyone.
Again, if we are truly going to buy into a net cost world, we need to better identify those numbers.
I agree.
and you didn't mean about,
No, that's fine. So on the, let's see. Child and Family Block Grant is one that is not going into a net accounting new account. And requesting potential or submitting the potential of $30,000 of revenue associated with that line. Then we move down to economic assistance and opportunity that is associated with, I believe it's the RSP, rent supplement program. And that is our allocation, and it's been unchanged for I believe this is the third year we've had RSP. Moving into the federal aid for medical stimulus money, and the title of that is deceiving, to be honest with you. It's also one that we currently don't have any funding involved. See, 4601 federal aid for medical assistance. Again, not using that line readily. And I should explain that these lines are truly governed by the state, in that when we produce a claim through the automated claiming system, which is governed by Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance and the OCFS, Office of Child and Family Services, that they are telling us what appropriation, or excuse me, what revenues we are to record these numbers. And there was a change in the methodology about 4 or 5 years ago, in that we weren't following necessarily what was laid out in the automated claiming system. And in the last 4 years have been doing nothing but that methodology. It's allowing us to better reflect actual expense or actual revenue to the appropriate programs. So moving into 6010.4609 federal aid for childcare. Again, that's moving into another revenue account number. Social services admin, because that encompasses so many different potential expense lines, it's going to stay on its own. And our expenses are 6010. So for 2025, the actual amount, we're looking like we're going to achieve the 4.9 million. However, based on trend, and again, all of the cuts that we're seeing being predicted for 2026, went with a little about 300,000 less in 2026. 6010.4611, federal aid for the food stamp program. I'm sure if you watch the news, you're hearing that there are cuts coming for the food stamp program. It is our understanding, though, that that's not going to take place for us until probably, I believe it's October 1st, correct, 2026. They're cutting our admin in half. So for us, that one quarter in 26, it looks like a loss of around $150,000. And it'll be exactly a half in 27 if that continues down the same path. Federal aid for our flexible the FFS, which is the flexible fund for family services. They have cut our flexible fund allocation for 25-26 by 900,000 and change. It's a hit, especially when they require us to spend that money in specific areas. And if we don't, then we don't get the money, but then it's not always the areas that we need the most funding. FFS is a complicated funding stream for us.
You're talking 99,000. Wow. That is a.
No, I'm sorry, correct. 99,000,
That's much better.
yes.
That's
much
what I
better.
was, yeah,
99,000,
I was dreaming for a minute.
yeah,
Yeah, eat too much pizza.
Doing too much.
thank you for questioning that. Federal aid for childcare, again, has moved to another line, same as safety net, HEAP, or it doesn't, yeah, it does say HEAP in there, so that is our HEAP program. Federal aid for block grant is not moving, and that one it's random. Putting 10,000 in on the off chance that we happen to get some of that revenue, and to be able to isolate why the state would credit that particular revenue account, I really can't. It all happens behind the scenes in that automated claiming system.
But we received none yet, is that the case?
Correct, none for 25.
And you think we will yet or won't?
It's
Or it comes so late that you won't know until February or March?
which is a lot of the times.
Yeah,
Situation that we're in.
Yep.
Correct, thank you. 4689 is the revenue line for social services childcare. We must have, and I have to apologize that I don't have an explanation for that one, except that we do have 24,660 that we received for this year. And I'm thinking that it's connected to the adoption and guardian or kinship incentive program. I know that that's exactly what it is. And that was a one-time allocation. We will not be seeing that one again. Well, they're not saying it's coming again. 6010.4975 family centered case management. So that particular program, the allocation is $165,385. We know that we're going to receive that money. The primary expense of that is staff,
while also having a contract with a local provider for services. And in 2026, we're looking at changing the way we budgeted for it, but I will talk about that when we get further down into the expenses. So now we're getting into the net cost area. As I said previously, daycare payments that come in as refunds are very rare. And in the past, we have not budgeted for those, but because of the increase in activity through our fraud unit, I think it's fair to say that we could receive $3,000 or perhaps more. And on occasion, those are payments that are coming to us through court proceeding, like our fraud individual. The investigator will go to court and the person that is being investigated would make a payment right then and there to avoid additional charges. State aid for daycare, our daycare number is down, and this is where the 900,000 is. In years past, we have had rollover because during COVID, we were provided with quite a bit of daycare money. And each year when we didn't spend it, it was rolled over into the next year and added to a new allocation. As of this year, we have used all of the rollover and we have utilized all of the money that was budgeted to us for the program year 24-25. Perhaps Mary Lynn would like to speak to where we're at with daycare money with regards to what their mandated changes have caused for us.
So we have a wait list currently, and we, at this point, are forecasting we're not gonna probably be able to open any cases until maybe around the first of the year, and that may be only. So we're taking applications, we determine their eligibility, but we deny them because we don't have the funds.
So this is on, this is state aid, so this is on the state year. Of course, it says we've only spent 160, but you're saying it's all spent.
This revenue.
Oh, that's revenue. You've only got 160. But we've spent all of it,
We're forecasting to, with the cases we have right now.
and so they haven't even paid that.
Right, so you remember the board gave Tammy
Yes.
authorization to create the wait list.
Yes, I remember that one.
This is state mandated, right? It's a state cut. Yeah, but the program for daycare is mandated, right?
Correct.
But we've had to cut this off in the past. It's not in recent years.
It's been a long time. since
Right.
We had a wait list, but yes, we have had one in the past.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was 2008 or 10 or 12, somewhere in there.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Nice, Becky, a question. Becky, do you have any document, or if not, how much of a burden is it to do a quick summary for the board? It won't be for today, obviously,
Okay.
but it would be, I think would be very helpful to the board and this process.
Okay.
You've got a great handle, because as I'm listening to your narrative, this was reduced because of X, right? It sounds like a lot of the cuts were either state or the big beautiful bill, right? It seems like there's two driving factors, right?
Yep.
It would be wonderful to see a quick little white sheet of the impact of state cuts and then the federal big beautiful bill passed through the state, right? I think that summary would be extremely helpful to the board.
So would you like that expanded beyond daycare to encompass all of the
Your,
programs?
just,
Yes.
your whole budget request, each
Okay.
of these revenue lines that you're discussing now, the narrative you're giving now is priceless. It would be great to see that on and I don't mean like a 3-page narrative. A quick little
Okay.
state cuts,
Sounds good.
X, Y, Z, big beautiful bill cuts, X, Y, Z, right?
Just another thing to add to your to-do list.
If it's not, you know what I mean? Something that's a ridiculous amount of extra work.
So if we're through the 1.9 and we're only we just hit October. So we probably hit this in September, or did we hit this in August?
We started the wait list in March. And we started closing research for April 1st.
So, but if the money's already spent,
Projected to be spent.
it's only projected to be spent, so we're not totally out of money yet.
Yeah.
When do we project that money? Are we talking November?
So as far as the county budget, we are not going to run out of daycare money.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But we're planful with the daycare money in that we understand that that we should limit local share, if not have any local share involved in the program.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective, we're spending what we can up to the allocation from the state.
Okay,
And that's what we discussed going forward.
and that's what we've done that,
So
we've
we
done
may-
that in the past.
Right, we may have to
We've-
stop.
we've stopped
at
before.
March Next year.
Yeah, we've stopped before, right at wherever that point is.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fair.
Okay. State aid for services for recipients. There is very little state aid involved in that program. You're gonna see more assistance as we move further through the revenue accounts. 60/70, 46/70 is federal aid services for recipients. We are looking, that particular line is in part connected to the triple FS, which we already know they've cut 99,000 from our triple FS budget. It's an area that we're spending time looking at what are our expenses and what we can do to make that work best for the town. Moving on to page 17, revenue account 6109-1809. That would be assistance from the state and feds for our population that would have children in the household. And there is also some funds within that line that is connected to certain types of foster care cases. 6109-3609, that would be also additional funds coming in. And I'm sorry, the previous line was our own funds when we're taking them in through our own efforts or refunds. 3609 is the state money. It's TANF related, and TANF is a federal program. Therefore, the majority of that money comes in on a 0.4 line, which is our next line. And for 2026, revenue projection is down 100,000. Based on trend, based on what we know about our current cases. Current cases can change at any given moment. There's so much that goes into being planful for where we think we're going to get our money. Or reimbursement. 6119, so the 1819 line, .CSE, are refunds that we receive from our local school districts within the county for 50% of reimbursement that they are obligated to give us for the cost of maintenance for their CSE placements. We have no control over it. We don't determine who those kids will be. We have no say in what placements they're moved to. And the state provides no reimbursement to the county for our cost associated.
Do you know in advance? Do the schools let you know what they think that's gonna be? Do you get any projection?
Yeah, do you want to speak to that, Janine?
We communicate with the school before, roughly
Okay.
around the beginning of the school year to try to get a count of how many kids that we are looking.
So they do work with you and.
So that was 6119.CSE, 6119.1819.foster care. So that would also be if we receive any refunds locally. And then moving into state revenue and federal revenue, we're looking at a combined, and I'm doing this on the fly, so about 3,475,000 we're anticipating in foster care reimbursement. 6123 is related to our juvenile delinquent population. And that line actually is revenue that we receive through our STSJP program. And that's something that we work with Alternative Sentencing Youth Bureau. Part of that programming. 6140 is our safety net. The local refunds are on the 1840.SM line. State and federal are on the following two lines. However, the 6140.3689 of $400,000 is directly related to having a full blue program, which is mandated. And safety net federal aid is extremely limited. There are certain types of cases that allow us to get a little money from the feds for safety net, but primarily our funding comes from the state for that program. HEAP allocations. I do want to explain a little bit about HEAP. I have found over the last few years that the state, instead of giving us an allocation in advance of the program you're starting, that starts October 1 is when we were able to start claiming against the next year's allocation. They're not telling us what our allocation is until March or April of the following year. So we're already halfway through, we're starting to warm up again, and we claim against that money, hoping that we're gonna get an allocation. It's just another example of how difficult it is for us to plan for expenses.
But it sounded like there are some significant cuts being made to the HEAP program, but there's not a drastic cut in your budget. Are you comfortable that they're gonna come through for you? There's a lot of things they won't cover now, right? They're
Yes.
not doing repair and replacements. It's significantly changed what they'll pay for, right?
Right.
So this money is strictly our admin cost.
This is just your. admin.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that as we get into the expenses. As far as HEAP benefits, although we are taking in the applications and we're processing them, we are not issuing the benefits that are going out to the energy providers. All of that is happening through the state comptroller's office. The little bit of money
And
that
then we take away our admin money.
And they're depending on climate change, so you don't need to eat much.
So any revenue that's associated with HEAP is strictly for our staffing, any expenses that we might have that are specific to HEAP. And there are very small benefits that we're issuing here in our office for our clients that are HEAP eligible, but their heat is included in their rent. They get a direct cash benefit.
So one quick follow-up that you all may be interested in, because sometimes we're not good at tying the bows together. We invested a significant amount of ARPA money with Credit Tech on Ticonderoga. So if your people that normally would have been eligible for some like heat repair and replacements and weatherization, that money, if that money's now dried up, we have a contract with Credit Tech on Ticonderoga for like $500,000 to do those same services.
That's still their name, or did the name change?
They changed their name, yeah. But there'll always be that to me, I apologize.
Well, what's the name, so they know what the name is?
Oh, now you're gonna challenge me there. I gotta look it up.
Oh, you're kidding.
But I just wanna make sure, and we can talk about it offline, but we should make sure that you're aware we have another resource for you to fill that gap.
Longer name.
NDRC.
NDRC.
They're out of Ticonderoga, they'll also be managing our land bank, they're fantastic.
Or they're pretty sure, but all different. I thought it would be up.
Okay, it has nothing to do with the budget, but I thought it was important.
Yeah.
Definitely need resources.
Last revenue line specific to DSS is 6142-3642, and that would be state funding related to emergency aid for adult payments. That population and the expense that comes along with it is fairly limited for us. There's eligibility pieces that go into that, and I'm not anticipating any sort of increase.
Any questions on revenues?
Now, do you want us to do
OFL.
OFA?
They on page 19.
We can if you want.
On page 19. You'll see line 1972, and it's titled OFA contributions and cost shares. And again, we're projecting based on trends and increase in that line. This is money that we receive from contributions from individuals receiving services. So under the Older Americans Act, we are required to seek out contributions based on rates set by the advisory council. So not bills, but they're simply contributions that people can pay, and the money then goes back into programming. The 2705 line is gifts and donations. We're again projecting a revenue of approximately $200, and this is primarily what we're seeing from individuals who use us as memorials in their obituaries, giving a contribution towards Office for Aging. The 2801.01 line, we put that in 2025, and that was based on the situation we had with NYBT Media for the printing of Community Connections, where they were they needed additional funding to have a printed copy of the newspaper. So we worked with Public Health, and that's where that money came from in 2025. We aren't anticipating that to be the case 2026. .3772, and this can also include the federal line below that, .4772, our state and federal funds. At this time, we are going off allocations that were given to us in 2025. We don't know what our 2026 allocations will be, but we are expecting a slight increase in state revenue and a slight decrease in federal revenue.
Gina, that 3772 includes the 49,966 in unmet needs money that we talked about earlier in that meeting.
Correct.
That's on the state aid line.
That's what I'm asking.
It's on the state aid.
Okay, that's the end of our revenue lines. Moving on to page 74. Starting with the salaries line, following the direction that we received around the 2026 budget, that would only include steps in longevity. Any additional increases would come after the fact. Our overtime is flat for this year. And on-call pay, or I'm sorry, I skipped over buyouts and incentives. That is us budgeting for buyouts for folks that retire or resign. And it's looking as though 2026 should come in at less than 2025.
So you have known retirements next year?
Well, we can surmise. I don't know that it's fair for us to ask staff to commit to that.
No, but if some committed already or no?
We normally only budget for knowns, and then we amend your budget for the ones that come up that were unknown.
Okay,
So you must pretty well know they're no. If you put them in there.
It's up to you, budget officer, but
What's that?
we can review that list and get a better feel for that.
30 days.
I mean, normally you would budget for people who
Like,
actually made an announcement to you that they are,
Right.
We don't have anybody that's. made
No.
Nobody's made.
No,
official.
Okay.
with the understanding that you would just come to committee if an announcement was made during 26. That would be the normal process. Whatever normal.
So we want to take that out, is it overtime?
They would come out until they have a known, and then they would come back.
Is it realistic that you won't have any retirement?
But
this
I
year?
was,
Well, it's not just retirements, it's also folks that
Any
re-
buyout,
resign.
right?
Buyout.
So I think I don't think it would make sense to put it to zero,
that's,
I would agree.
because you're gonna have
well,
some.
because it's been there before, I don't know why you'd even move it. You've been 44,000, 34,000.
Well, I'd like us to get consistent around the county then, because
No.
some we budget, some we don't.
No, but these are actual, it's a bigger department. No, that's what their actuals have been running. I guess that's the part that would concern me, because you're gonna end up spending it anyway. Yeah, no, I agree. I'd like to be consistent, but
No.
this one has history.
The reason I bring it up is for the first time this year ever,
Yeah,
every penny now that we talk about
Yeah.
isn't off of fund balance, it's off the taxpayer.
right,
So in the past years, we could be wrong by 30,000 because all it did is affect my fund balance.
right,
Now, if you're wrong by 30,000, you're taxing for it.
right.
There's a significant philosophical shift this year. I just want to make sure that
So-
we all feel that.
Okay, so if we take it out, then it just hits our fund balance next year.
And if we don't have any, we've taxed
But
it.
you're absolutely going to have some, not just one, you're going to have some, that, you know, you just have that money on it, that you're gonna have.
But you just want to make sure that everybody understands, this year is the first time that every penny extra you're taxing for.
Right.
The first time.
Is it?
Oh,
So what will happen to the paycheck if there's not time to plan for it?
You will never be stuck not being able to pay somebody.
Right.
I'll do that to you now.
Okay,
Right, that doesn't change that.
then that adds some comfort to the potential of not
Right,
having that
no,
money in there.
that doesn't,
But I mean,
right,
it's,
that doesn't change that at all.
Brian, at the end of the day, it's your budget. This is the first time in my career, first time.
Right.
That every decision you make is directly off the list.
Oh, that's true.
Is it entirely true? Because if we had a lower on fund balance.
But because you,
Dip and we would come back up over the time.
but because Brian appropriated zero,
Yeah,
every penny this time is directly related to the levy.
yeah,
In the past, if you saved 100,000, it came off the fund balance first. Now,
Sure.
every penny comes off the levy first.
right.
It's a significant shift for us.
But before it was 100,000 out of 150 million.
No, he appropriated 3.8 million, so every dime you saved came off of that
Came off
3.8
the
first.
3.5 million
Okay.
first.
Right,
Yeah.
this time, everything you save comes off the levy first.
Yeah.
It's a significant cost shift.
And for the purpose of the situation we're in, it might be smarter to just take it and worry about.
I mean,
the
I
fund
would love you to
balance for
protect
the
my
new
fund balance and tax for it. I just want to make sure that we all understand everything you're doing this time you're taxing.
So isn't it do it now or do it later?
That's the way it
Yeah.
is, and we're trying to get by, we need to survive to ever thrive again. I guess that's the position we're in.
Shows that.
We have to survive first. What's that?
Because it shows that we consistently use it, it still seems like it's more logical to put some money in that.
Well,
No,
that's what I said, but it does make a good point. If you don't, when they put the money in, they're supposed to have known buyouts, and I only have actuals here other than this year, the past years. So usually the knowns would show up. The rest of them actually happen. It doesn't keep them from happening. They still happen. But if you don't know that they're there, you wouldn't.
Again, to protect my fund balance, leave the number there. I'm
Right.
okay with that.
That's,
I'd be remiss
That's
if I
where
didn't.
I was going, but
Shows that we had
sleep number.
you do.
44,
Okay.
34,
Yeah, I'm gonna bring my.
20.
But I'm not doing my job if I don't remind you, this year is the first time it's
It's
very, very different. Because it's off the levy.
Say that again.
Yeah, we're already gonna finance fund balance already.
We should be.
We're already borrowing, we're taking out a 10%, right? So it's a significant cost shift. Okay.
So moving away from buyouts and incentives, we're on to the 0.128 line, which is our on-call pay. That is based on the exact amount that it would cost us if all of our on-call staff chose to take the stipend as opposed to receiving comp in lieu of the actual stipend. And you can see that in prior years, there are some that choose to, there's actually quite a few that choose to take the comp in lieu as opposed to. Yeah.
What if we put 50,000 down there, say?
freshness.
For what?
It would probably work.
Because I'm looking at past years.
I
Yeah.
feel like it would work too, as long as I have a reassurance that it's not going to affect paychecks. And-
It-
and
it won't.
Alice-
Again, it would be the same process.
Right.
If she needed it, she'd have to be allowed to come back and ask.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
We did have that in our line that could reduce.
Al's,
Yeah.
Al's paycheck comes out of the same payroll account as yours, so I don't think there's gonna be any rubber checks.
You have the full backing of Albert B. Nolan.
Depends. If you
He has the ink that disappears. He doesn't have the auto pen. He has the disappearing pen.
if you forget to take money out of ICS, it could be a problem.
So. At,
That helps 20.
that's seven,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
17,000.
17,000, that's a little bit. Thank you for that.
$15.
Okay, COVID is self-explanatory.
In more ways than one.
Okay, moving into the employee benefits section that is not budgeted by department. I don't know if it's something you want us to talk about.
No, not worth it.
Take.
It's a downtrade from the upper lines.
With the like ways control.
Yeah.
All right, at the top of page 75 is the employee dental. Again, that's not something that we're budgeting for. And then moving into our point 2, A6010.2020 is our computer equipment line. And that's actually something that we do not create the budget for. We are given a recommendation of items that need to be replaced from the IT office. And we just incorporate it into our budget.
Talk to Jerry.
It looks like life cycle there.
Yeah, probably is.
Yeah,
You
so
said-
we talked about reducing a
Yeah.
copy or printer scanner.
Yeah, let's cut that.
It was listed as 2, we said we could drop it to 1, which would reduce it by $5,500.
Okay, we'll take that.
Okay.
How much of our printed paper is required for internal record keeping versus can we cloud it? Versus do we have to distribute it to files?
You can just store it.
I think some goes to legal, and it goes in various.
Some even has to be stored, I think, in the paper copy, right?
We're
Forever,
obligated to have
forever,
paper
something.
documents.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian, well, while we're here, is this an appropriate time to ask one of the questions from yesterday? about
Yes,
Laptops in the field?
yes.
So
Does everybody,
our caseworkers, when they're away from the building, carry an iPad with,
Not all of them have iPads, some take their laptops.
is every employee who leaves the building, do they have a trackable device on them, being a laptop and iPad, something that has some kind of
Or
connectivity?
county
Or-
phone,
Phones, yeah.
County
not
phone,
personal.
Well, we have 9 phones that are distributed amongst all the staff.
Does anybody leave the building that's not trackable by some kind of technology?
They're taking their, if they don't have their, computer with a phone to hotspot, they would not be trackable because the laptops do not have service on them.
so the iPads do
They
in
do,
the
yes.
laptops?
So is there enough phones and or iPad that you can make a policy decision to make sure that every employee had a trackable device on them when they left the building?
Doing work for.
And you know what the answer today is a question that we have to have answered. Because if we're looking at adjusting the GPS in the cars, the only way that that's not a safety issue is if they have some other form of trackable device like a cell phone or iPad.
Yeah.
Right, so it becomes part of a bigger conversation with the GPS system.
So,
Probably would end up being a labor level of tracking, like who took this iPad today, that you have to be a step in there too, like that. Then you'd have to track who's using what each day.
The iPads are assigned
That's
to
awesome.
workers.
that's also thing.
The laptops the phones are signed out, so there is a system where they are signed out, so you would be able to track that as long as they're being signed out.
Properly,
When they go out properly.
but again, that's a procedural thing internally.
Right.
So
Didn't
Melissa,
we decrease the number of iPads? Didn't more employees in DSS have iPads and then they decreased or something? I seem to recall something like that a few years ago.
There were other Others had iPads, but they did not all have service. And then we did internally give, some caseworkers did give up iPads, but they were utilized in other areas.
So we didn't decrease the amount, we dispersed them elsewhere.
Do they all still have connectivity or is it still only a portion?
The iPads you're talking?
There are still some that do not have connectivity. I know there's a few in Gina's area that do not have connectivity.
Is there currently enough sign out phones that at any time, anybody who's out of the building could have a phone on them?
This makes a vehicle.
Yeah, there's only 9. I would say no to that,
So you have more than 9 out in the field on any given day?
possibly.
Okay.
Majority
There's
of the
14
folks
current.
in children's services do have iPads, the caseworkers, the
Yes.
majority of them do. There are a couple in ADRC that do not have iPads, but the
So-
majority of the caseworkers do have iPads.
With a location accessible on them.
So
They would have a Find
They
My
can make
iPad
that
part of the
I
operating
thought
system.
they took that up.
That's the piece that
IT
IT
took that up.
that
We
off.
did have it at
We
one
did
point.
have it.
We were
That piece
utilizing
still
it.
could be cheaper than. the-
That's still,
Check
it
it out.
could be, yes, that's worth finding out.
So don't we, didn't you say we have a 2-year contract with the, yes,
3-year,
3-year?
yep. it
And we're in
goes
year
to
like on one.
October-
Right, we're near to.
October 2026.
26?
And unless there's an early termination penalty, we can get out of any kind.
That has,
On an average day, how many caseworkers leave the office when they'll be over?
I would say, I have what, maybe 43 right now, so I would say possibly maybe half, but it's like, it's in and out, it's give or
Yeah.
take, you know,
Well,
it
they're-
depends on
they're not-
situations,
They're outside the building.
yes.
So one thing I heard was that connectivity was spotty on some of these iPads we had connectivity on. It wasn't,
It can be spotty in certain areas.
They're going off the cell network.
But that's changed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's totally changed.
GPS. We have voids in the GPS tracking.
The phones have the dual tracking, that we went to that. When we had only had 2 or 3 phones at one point. When we went to the 9, we went to the dual GPS tracking,
They have dual
like the
SIM
sheriff's
cards.
department.
So if the cost of what we have for the GPS system of 46,000, I assume that's annually, not a 3-year contract.
Annually.
I assume it would be cheaper to add the phones.
That's what I just said to Mr. Campbell.
Yeah,
It was worth looking at.
it's worth looking at, taking a deeper dive. Well, the other thing is if they're actually going out of the office working, they've got their iPad or their phone, one or the other. And even if they go in a car, they're more than likely, if they go in the house, they still have the iPad with them or wherever they go. So as far as a safety issue, I wanna know where the person was who's carrying the iPad more than I do wanna know where the car is. I guess that's safety wise, I look at it
Car is
that,
secondary to the info.
to me,
Right, exactly.
that's my
Sure you're
feeling.
the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we do wanna.
No,
know
we
there.
don't.
What this-
Safety
you know,
wise.
track them.
No, we just wanna know it's safe.
Right?
So the caseworkers have to go into a hotel for anybody we have housed in a hotel. To interview the people.
Caseworker assistants go out to the hotels. There could be caseworkers that are attached to the families. Or if they are single, adult protective services could be meeting with the individual as well.
But if we have a homeless person for lodging in a hotel, we have to pay for. Well, one of our employees has to go to them, so. Help them with paperwork and everything. We can't make them come here.
On occasion, they do come in here as well.
Well, if there's a certain amount, certain quota we're going to. But say when the caseworkers going out, we had them mandated them to come here to us.
And that's the way it used to work, but I don't know how or why. I don't know the significance of why that changed.
Thought we had part of the conversation we had was that if they came here, a lot of them don't have transportation.
Right.
So we'd have to provide transportation to them one way or another to get them here. And that could have been more costly than going someplace where there might be 3 or multiples.
See more people while we're out.
Also have the potential of seeing things that could exclude
Yes.
some expenses while we're out there.
Looking at them here.
No, like they've got somebody living with them that shouldn't be there in the room.
So I have an app on my cell phone that puts a SOS call out. And so something to consider of part of this package is, we're talking about employee safety is there something they can hit on the iPad or the phone that launches an SOS that we know something's up? Because I've, getting there after the fact, there's not much you can do but clean it up.
And my entire family knows where we each other are. We have. I know where all of my kids and grandkids are at any time from a app that we have.
Yeah, and I
There
can
is-
SOS.
I don't.
There is an SOS thing on phones, like I could do it right now. Right, like if you were to power off,
Right, we
you
are.
can shut it off or hit SOS emergency.
Okay, that's good.
That's only you call. That's only you have to do that yourself. I think what he's referring to is something on your laptop.
He's talking about beacon.
It's
Something that will alert you back at the office, hey, I'm in trouble.
Well, there's a couple apps that I have been informed of that I need to kind of share out, maybe look into a little bit more. There is a safe tracker app
Yeah.
that somebody had informed me of as well, that then would potentially connect to maybe county control or something like it. There's a lot to it, so there needs to be some looking into research
Right.
on it.
And
Right.
it's
I mean, because that's the whole idea about it is, how do we enable our employees to have some fail safe? They get into a situation, they don't wanna, you can't kind of back out of it. How do I hit a button, say, hey, I'm in trouble?
There are GPS tracker buttons, like those life nets, the things that they could wear around their necks. You push the button. There's that too, that has come up at deputy commissioner meetings. There's other counties that are utilizing those at this moment. That is something we could potentially look
pretty
into
huge
as well.
opposition to that though, when we first started talking about the GPS for the cars, because people didn't want to be tracked.
They don't want to be tracked.
Then you-
Doesn't matter if you're worried about their safety, they didn't want you to know where they are.
Right.
Yeah, the necklaces don't track, if I remember right,
It's
they're
not-
a panic
yeah,
button, like
it's
I held my phone, I
correct.
can't get up.
Excuse me, I think I said GPS tracking thing, but yeah, it's something that they can push to send an alert.
They're literally the safer alert
Right.
that you have in your homes.
Let's bring this back. It's,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it was a budget.
it is part of the budget.
You know, you, in the meeting yesterday, you wanted to ask today, so. I thought-
Yeah, no, it was a good discussion.
So with that conversation coming up on our computer equipment line, is there something that we need to be considering in that area for that budget line?
Not yet,
Okay.
because we need a lot more research. You were taking out the one,
Copier.
out here and the other things are staying, is that correct?
Correct. So 60-10-2070 is our equipment vehicle line, specific to DSS vehicles, and that's something that we've always had input on in prior years. So I would look to you again for input on that. We used the number we've been using traditionally, however, we did discover that this year the vehicles aren't coming in quite as expensive as we had anticipated.
I don't know that that's gonna stay, I have no idea where vehicles are going, so that's why.
If you're still buying 3 cars, then 120 is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's
But
what,
just,
Okay,
cause it's according to what you need and what you want and all that.
Could be electric.
don't start.
so the next line that we are funding is now in the 0.4 section. And this is where we're getting into shared costs, both on the DSS and the OFA side.
Yeah,
And we make sure that we include enough to cover both agencies, both departments. Telephone, adding just a slight increase based on the amount that we're at the half year mark. Postage. Flat. Same as last year, 56,000.
So are you telling me the phone is through June or through July?
I believe that that number is through July. So I see what you're saying.
It's
Okay,
only $500, but
yeah.
that's why I asked.
Do we-
Would you like us to give back that 500?
Well, if it's through July, I think you could.
Okay.
Right.
So
That's 7
when-
6.
when the budget though was entered into New World, I
Yep.
believe we were at June.
That's what I'm wondering if
Yeah.
if the July payment hadn't been made is.
That's what I'm
Okay.
thinking.
So leave that alone.
Postage, no change.
I see. General question on postage, that's 150 letters a day, but I guess everything's not a dollar, right? We send packages out that are more expensive.
We
Is it
rarely
good?
get
We
We actually
packages
pay
that
a
go
bulk
out.
rate, we pay less than the dollar.
So that, what are we mailing?
Correspondence to-
100 over, that's gonna be 150 pieces a day, which is okay, I just,
And that would be both DSS and OFA mailings.
Would also include like checks going out to vendors.
Yes.
check goes out to a vendor, doesn't the state give us money back on that?
It is a claimable expense,
Claimable
yeah.
expense,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Surprisingly enough, a lot of people don't have computers. I don't say a lot of people, people don't have computers.
well, I know, but I reduced it to 150 or 200 outputs. You know,
Right.
it's a stack like this every day. That's a lot of manpower to also building a stack like that. So that's all.
So government is. In all honesty.
So our next line is 60104030.01, which is our office supply line. The office supply line, we have reduced over current year by 7,000, hoping that it's correct. A huge part of our office supply expenses is toner cartridges for the copiers, printers. I don't
Building
think,
a stack of 200 mailings a day.
So, but if you look at 2023, 2024. It was 53,000,
It's going
48,000.
yeah,
It looks low right now.
And now we've jumped up.
however,
60.
we could have a little bit of control in that area as far as tighter monitoring on office supplies. But there's already a significant amount of monitoring going into it, but if we knew we had X amount, we could lower that. Recommending 5,000, by 5,000,
Make it 63.
correct?
Okay,
It's 50 to 70, 50 to 68 is a huge jump.
What was 75 last year?
but you still got the actual.
Yeah,
just
budget.
made-
Oh, you're,
Actually, it's 31.
but in 6 months, you're at 30,000.
Are we doing 63,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent.
We at the county overall, all of our toner that we buy, I mean, some of it is laser printers, right?
Yes.
It's inkjet. We have any, we don't any.
I don't know if we have any inkjets left. I think we're pretty well lasered.
Yeah.
I can't speak to that, but the ones that I've interacted with have been lasered. I don't know if you guys, I don't think there's much inkjets laying around the building still.
So moving on to equipment non-asset, those would be the items that we purchased that are over 100 but under 500, and items that you would want to potentially keep track of. So we are asking for 3,500. Some of that is monitors, which were in the list that came from us or came to us from the IT department. And then the rest of it would be, there's occasional times where we've had items that suddenly are broken or have their useful life has ended. And so I would say that would be perhaps Dymo label printers. The list could be anything, really. So 3,500, which is a decrease over the 11,000 from the previous year.
Next one's interesting because you have no actuals for 3 years.
3 years, yeah. Anything so far this year?
Countywide, you're talking about the meal reimbursement.
Yes,
Yeah,
So that rate class hasn't been done yet. They haven't significantly.
okay, that's what I just
Right
wanted.
now it's buried in their point ones.
Okay,
I didn't make the reclass in time for the budget preparation.
okay,
Okay, so leave it. Is that what I'm hearing, Al? Leave it?
yeah, because we don't know what the,
Okay, we gotta lower the 0.1.
good.
Yeah. No, I mean, not lower the 0.1 to the helps, it's that.
You could think
If
of
they've
the
already got
order.
the meals in, they will predict lower when you do the correction.
that's it.
Yep.
A little bit.
It should be neutral. Right,
We hope.
right.
Okay, so we're good on the meal reimbursements. Moving into contracted services, that line is specifically for our shredding. And I think there are some other departments that also have shredding contracts,
Yeah.
and that line is flat.
Good.
Moving on to six, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
No, I said, I understand that.
Okay.
Where I work, I got a shredding contract too. Wonderful thing.
It's actually a really helpful service.
Yeah, we use Iron Mountain, or who do we use
On,
for our shredding contract?
here,
Yeah,
oh, I don't know about here.
Becky, if it's helpful, you had 8,100 in meal reimbursement through September 4th, just to kind of give you a gauge.
so you're close.
Okay,
Close,
so pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Good job. So I just had a question. We had the grant to scan everything and digitize all our records. And I thought they did a lot of them. Has that reduced or?
some things you can't destroy.
No,
I don't think she got it.
ongoing paper
And
usage, you mean?
No,
It
she didn't
didn't
get this
affect
yet.
our
She's not
No.
doing-
Yeah, we do have scanning. In fact, anything that's a new document coming in that's specific to a case in the temporary assistance division, all of it is scanned. We're not maintaining any paper anymore for those
So
cases.
to move paper forward is
Moving
great.
forward, right, yeah, the old stuff.
Thus,
For the old stuff,
but
we
it's
have to
been
get rid of.
scanned, so you need.
Some of our older documentation, after it goes through its retention period, we are able to get rid of that. All right, the consultant line, that is an expense just in 2025, nothing planned for 2026.
Yes, sir.
Who is the consultant there? What is? the
Bonadio,
consultant?
Bonadio,
It's the Bonadio contract that you're undergoing right now.
and it's coming into this year's expense of the already done.
Next line is our maintenance contract. You're gonna see that that is down $8,000, but as we get further down, that 8,000 will return because of a contract being recategorized. So this actually is for our copiers and printers. And that is based on usage. So they take readings of our machines and calculate a quarterly cost, and it comes through as an invoice for our maintenance.
I guess the question is, we had 13, budget 18, used 8,000 for the year, and now budgeting 10,000.
Yeah, because she said the other's going in a different line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So this next line is specific to OFA.
The 4140 line is for the Whitehall wheel site, so we rent the space at the American Legion in Whitehall.
So there's the first one, Brian.
That's not moving or is
It
it?
needs to move to 6772.
Okay. That's one you would move
Yes, sir.
because
that's
it's not, because it's direct.
At the meal settings.
And the next line is education, training, and staff development. I'm hearing other departments have some of that separated into various lines. For us, it's all together.
Okay.
And it is DSS and OFA together. As far as the DSS funding that's associated with that line, we have a training allocation that we get each year. And the allocation for the current year is $24,790. We're guaranteed to get that amount out of it. And that would have been reflected in one of our administrative lines for revenue.
So Becky, could we split that 32,000, 24,790 to you and the balance to OFA?
Well, it probably doesn't cover all of their costs, does it?
Is there an easy way to split that line into the two departments?
So, what I'm looking to propose and looking at what we put into that line, first off, we do put our association dues on that line. We've estimated this year $1,200 for Association on Aging dues.
So dues you're going to do this subscriptions, just as a side note.
We've always budgeted them for them in our training,
We
feeling that because they put on the conferences. But,
dues,
We
you
can
know,
move
dues
them.
and subscriptions.
okay,
So to expand upon that, and Office for Aging, I have looked at our travel plan, and given the trend of the budget meetings, I'm willing to do a reduction in a lot of those, in the approximate amount of like $3,600.
And that would come out of that actual line.
Yes.
But I think you still want to know the split
Right.
between the two departments.
Yeah, we're gonna wanna know the split.
do you need to know it right now?
Don't know.
We can work
I
on
guess what I
that.
was trying to understand,
Okay.
Becky, was, is yours totally paid for? Is your training 100%? Does that 24,790 equal all of your training?
So the 24,790 is what the state is willing to pay us for all of the potential training expenses that we would submit, to include the administrative costs associated with our staff development coordinator. So, I mean, we certainly would want to be able to show that we're spending
Oh, wow,
24,790, absolutely. And then if we included the exact amount that Gina would need to continue her plan for training, then is it something that we can put out on paper and,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And come back
No,
to you
just
with-
trying to get an idea.
Yeah.
It can literally be an email to Brian, Becky. It can be that simple.
okay,
Yeah. And Goodell.
Okay.
So, but we can take 3,600 out of the line is what you're saying for, just because of the OFA portion. I got that right.
so advertising and publicity is also a shared line, DSS OFA, that is 60-10-42-20. We are requesting 300 less than the current year. And the reason why you're seeing no expenses at the moment is because we have yet to receive the bills for the advertising associated with the fall.
That is correct.
Again, say that again, Becky, is that sounded like that with an ADRC item as well.
It was, however, there is a little bit included in there for the potential of advertising that might need to be done by our child welfare side. On occasion to run ads, depending upon certain circumstances within a family. And that allows us to be able to place those ads.
So each side would have a line eventually.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think the homework after today is to not tie up this meeting,
Right.
is to split up for Brian, anything you can identify as ADRC.
Okay. All right, moving on to the mileage expense carpool line. And this is something that you and I had a conversation about, Al, with regards to where we're putting certain expenses. Right now, that line is to cover our carpool costs when we receive the chargebacks from DPW. But it also includes potential of mileage reimbursements to staff, which we are finding they're taking advantage of more than I anticipated. Thoughts on that, Al?
Right now, we're not, my understanding is we're not we're not making any internal policy changes to that anytime soon.
Okay,
But there may eventually be a line that's separate from the carpool line. Because what's gonna happen, what's unfortunately gonna happen to the budget officer is all the money that's budgeted in this line has to match up to the revenue in carpool. The problem is if this line includes employee reimbursements, that's never coming to carpool and she'll have a shortfall. So we probably are going to want to split it out for Brian's sanity, so.
Well, that, and you're also with, as that unfolds, that'll be what deciphers the size of the carpool.
Yes, sir. It'd be
And
play into
so
that
that'll play, so
conversation.
even though it won't equal, we have to make it
You'll
equal.
be able to measure
But
that.
eventually we'll be able to, there would be less money spent, so less money would need to go in.
Yes, sir.
So that's the big picture.
What does carpool charge? How do they charge? Good part.
But we have a mileage rate.
You know what your rate is for the carpool and the size?
So the rate is different for departments who bought the car. So DSS gets a discounted rate over a normal carpool car because they bought the car. So I know that Brian has kind of toyed with, could there just be a countywide rate?
Yeah.
So the rate we charge
especially
DSS
in the
is
back-
actually less.
Yeah.
Are we the 67 rate plus?
We're lower than that. We're
We're,
62. So
I don't even remember the
Like
rate
even-
now. It's been so long since we changed it.
I was
feel-
thinking 60 cents.
I feel like it's 60.
Yeah.
Deb has confirmed 60.
Okay.
Is off of this topic, off of this discussion, it's a little interesting because they did a lot of DSS valuation work, and I know how many miles each car did per year. These numbers don't exactly line up, but if you guys want to know how many hours you use the car, the amount of hour per year, that's how much time we're traveling as well.
I think the discrepancy that you're finding there is because there's certain scenarios where we're charged a half day versus a whole day.
Yes,
For a car.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait.
yes,
That
if
was
you don't
per
think,
mile.
if the car, no, if the car
Yeah,
doesn't
so
move
they're-
at all or something, you also have to
Their
pay.
fleet cards have a minimum charge. There's a
Yes.
whole.
So we've got several classes of cars here. I'd love to get it all together.
You would enjoy one of the coffee mugs that I made a few years ago. They said Washington County making easy things difficult since 1784. So we have a way convoluting something that doesn't have to be convoluted.
Okay.
I know I failed my harassment test for that, but that really should say men making life better, no sense is hard time.
We,
Right, Sue?
yeah.
More women in here today, so we're not all.
but again, we've talked about things like flat rate billing, before, right? Like you could literally charge a department, $1,000 a month regardless of, right? So there are other ways. And all of this cumbersome stuff, we have done. We have drawn that box. We can undraw the box.
And
But
you
the
wonder
reason-
what we have.
The reason that was drawn was so that it would encourage them not to have cars they weren't using. You paid a daily rate for not using the damn car.
Yeah, I don't think it.
didn't-
no, it didn't
Use the
work.
car.
Now, it wasn't high enough. Should charge you more for
And it's
not
very
using it
interesting
than
because
using it.
it's very interesting to me philosophically that we charge less to a department that actually gets reimbursement for the charge.
Well, that's
We
what
would
made no
actually
sense to
benefit by
me.
a higher
That's,
internal rate.
yeah. That
Because
made no
of the
sense to me
reimbursement.
either.
Right, so we have to have some conversations.
But at the same time, because they have a declining number as they fill certain methods, and we know that now. Because of that, that means something else is getting paid at a lesser rate if we used it up on
But I
mileage,
would still,
which feels bad
but
too.
I feel like I would still trade that increase in
I would
rate
go,
on the carpool revenue side
I'm with you.
for a 62% reimbursement rate,
Right.
possibly on their
No,
side,
you're-
right? So
yeah, that's close.
Yeah, I would agree.
again, that's for another day, but
All right, guys. Well, of interest or note to you, the DSS annual mile cars are over 50% more used per year than the credit cards.
that didn't shock me.
In
Right,
case you didn't know.
right. Well, department cards should be
They
used
should
more
be
than
used
pool cars. That's why they have department cars.
Yeah.
So to add a little more to that mileage expense line, should note that that covers both DSS and OFA pool and fleet.
Again,
Yep.
homework.
And we've also made some internal changes. I know I shared that with you previously, Al. that we're hoping is going to save some cost related to.
It made me smile,
I
if
know,
that counts.
good. It's too soon though to know. We need to have numbers to evaluate and we're not there, maybe a year's worth of numbers.
But I think you'll find the benefit. I think you will.
Moving on to auto fuel, 60-10-42-70, and this could be for DSS or OFA. And it is for those rare instances that we have a staff member that has taken off. Let's say a caseworker needs to go over to western part of the state to see a child unplanned, they're hurrying, and they left without a gas card. So on occasion, we do have to reimburse for gas. Staff are aware though.
The
that they
fully
should
tax
pay.
rate because they forgot their card.
Hmm.
Encouragement. Computer supplies, that's a large chunk.
Yep, and so that's where that one particular contract was recategorized.
Okay.
And it's our screens contract. Screens it's an acronym for something.
Okay.
And it refers to our system that we pay a monthly service or a monthly contract fee for. It is an interface with our VIX and WMS system. And it allows for a lot of reduced paper in the world of authorization forms. We would have stacks and stacks and stacks of large pieces of authorization documentation. And that has been virtually eliminated in our income maintenance division.
So this wouldn't be the line where you would want that though.
Okay,
This line is specific to actual supplies. So you're either want to go back into maintenance, or you're gonna want to use the subscriptions line that Terry uses in her budget.
okay,
Again, that's something you and Brian can work on later. It doesn't have to be for today.
okay. So then the remaining amount of money in that line is also it's part of the screens conversation. And that particular software has been held on the county server, and the state has now agreed to take it on for us. Other counties also utilize screens. But there's a belief that there is going to be a charge associated with the cost of the state hosting it on their server.
There is. Why wouldn't there be?
So is it worthwhile to be hosted at that point? Question.
That's a Terry, I think that's a Terry.
That's a Terry question. I'm
Okay.
not sure we want. to take
We were
keep
doing it,
for that one.
we added $10,000 on the recommendation of Terry. She's foreseeing that we are going to have, we're gonna have a cost associated with that.
She believes there could be a cost or was some discrepancy on whether there was or there wasn't, so it just.
To be safe. Yeah,
we
no,
added
I
it
get
in.
that.
And the reason why it has to be moved up is because the county server is just so outdated.
Can we take out 3?
Can we take out 3,000?
Yeah. And then an 8?
I think that would be fair. Okay,
Thank you.
so we're going down to 18,000 and we'll come back with how we're going to move that in
What
the
line?
other lines, correct? Okay, so we're moving on to line 76, and this is
Yep, head to page 76, so this is the category that we talked about frequently, the 0.4400. This includes all of the Office for Aging subcontractors. So there's been some shifts, and I can go down what those are. We talked about public health's Tai Chi, and there was a question about the revenue line there and how they zeroed that out. I can share with you that we're doing, again, approximate based on this year's allocation of federal funds. For us, a cost of $5,440. I did share that with Tina at Public Health, that they can add that in as their revenue for the
You hear that, Brian?
interdepartmental.
Yep.
Pardon?
I just want to make sure Brian got that.
just.
They had 4,000 on it, right?
I think she had zero.
I believe she had
Yeah,
zero.
it's here.
Oh, she told us it was about.
Just to clarify, on here, it says lead caregiver support transportation, is technically mislabeled, and we're gonna retitle that to lead medical/social transportation, the state portion. You can see it's divided up into two categories, county portion and the state portion. The sheriff meals tends to be on a continuous basis, reflecting an increase. This year, we're estimating that it has a 7.07% increase. The meal cost went up from $6.84 to $7.30 per meal. This is a 46-cent increase, which gives us the increased overall total of $47,614.
Dana, is this entire list year?
Yes.
Okay.
I think this is,
Yes.
this is the whole group that I said we needed to move.
Right, all of these.
So all of these would move to the OFA line.
We did give a increase to the Tri-County Association for the Blind. They shared that they had a stagnant funding for over 30 years. So we did give them an increase of $2,800. 26. The 4,400 line also used to have the registered dietitian included in. We, in the past, budgeted 29,000 for the RD contracted services. And as you know, we have now made that a part-time position under Office for Aging, with just the money shifted to that line under salary. It's the same amount, 29,000. Those are the highlights.
Sue, yes.
Gina, has there been any shift in the LEAP and the Meals on Wheels for federal reimbursement?
Has there been a shift in revenue?
Yeah.
There has. We've seen a decrease.
Is that reflected in these numbers as far as?
That was reflected in the revenue line earlier, showing the slight decrease, and that is the main reason.
So this all is our, have they increased because of that decrease?
I'm not sure if I'm hearing you correctly.
The net cost will have increased.
The cost of the meals has increased.
Yeah.
To actually buy the food
To the county.
to the county,
Yeah.
to the sheriff. The sheriff buys the food and prepares it. His costs have gone up.
So, also in the LEAP, same thing, are we sponsoring at a higher rate with the same service? Because we're not getting the Medicaid revenue?
I believe contract is unchanged if I remember right.
That is correct.
Good.
So overall, there is an increase in that area, but based on the breakdown, it seems to be trend.
The good news is some of the increase we're paying ourselves.
Yeah, it's a little over 18.5.
So moving down to A6010.4402, that is our subcontractor sheriff line. We have two contracts with the sheriff's department. One specific to the deputy that is in the lobby when you come into the main entrance at Building B. And the other is for investigators are dedicating time to our child welfare side of the agency. And we added a slight amount to it without knowing what the salary changes are going to be. We couldn't accurately say that this is exactly what the cost will be.
All right.
But the good news is it's matching number at both sides of the budget.
Right.
So her expense matches the sheriff's revenue and whatever it will be.
Budget neutral.
Yes, sir.
Okay, A6010.4430, that's interdepartment, and it is our IT contract. Again, we don't have staff rates at this point, so added a 2.5% and are using that number for now.
Is that the MOA
Yes.
for the staff? So did we, is that the one that we added an additional staff member to for this company?
I would defer to Tracy on that one.
We added, in this year, we added an additional staff. We had one originally and there were two. However, I think this number will go down because the main, point of contacts have changed. So it went from a programmer to it's going, what is being requested is a, program specialist 1 and a program specialist 2, that be a salary that are factored in for that. So it's gonna be slightly less than that.
But if that expense goes down, the revenue on Terry's side goes down too, so it's budget neutral either way.
Moving on to 6010-4440.18, that's our miscellaneous line, primarily used for fingerprinting of staff. We've had quite an increase of required fingerprinting services. It's running, I think, $103 for each employee that we are having to send for fingerprinting. And it's a mandated, we're required to have those, certain staff have to have fingerprinting done. And it's connected to, and I would look to either of you.
So it used to be every 10 years they had to have fingerprinting done. Now it's every 5. And so it has to do with the federal income tax that they come in contact with.
Um,
And again, a conversation for another day, me and the budget officer talked about moving this into another line. Probably something like 4290 program expenses. We've made a concerted effort across the county to get rid of the miscellaneous line.
okay,
Do their fingerprints change after 5 years? I mean, that is. Makes no sense.
Well, when you stole somebody's identity,
Done some screening.
is what that's about. It's about stealing identity. That has nothing to do with us individually. That's a bigger program.
Name associated.
Yes, they want to make sure it's still associated with the actual person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're familiar with.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's about.
we're also utilizing that line for the cost associated with requesting birth certificates from out-of-state municipalities. And the cost associated with requesting medical records that would be required for investigations, say for the CPS unit. $6010-4440.PC is actually connected to the revenue that we spoke of, the donations to our food pantry.
Your food pantry, so that's your own, not Leaves.
Correct,
That's
correct.
the donation one.
Two.
There was only a grant, right?
It's not a full-fledged food pantry.
It's like an emergency.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
The revenue side was a grant, right?
The revenue side was not a grant, it's donations.
A grant, 1,000.
Was there a budgeted?
Yeah, there was a budgeted revenue.
But there was, however,
You see,
I'm putting in the appropriation, the amount that looking at the amount that we currently have in that particular checking account. In order to be able to spend it, do we need to fund it?
Well, yes, you got a budget what you're gonna spend.
Even though it's not county dollars? That was my understanding when we set these up, but
It is county dollars. You took the donation in.
it becomes a county dollar at that point.
There's no such thing as money you hold that's not county dollars. It's one of the things that we've started to get a handle on. We found a couple of accounts. We've corrected it.
Until this happened.
That's how this came to be.
okay,
There were 2 accounts that we discovered, right?
yes,
We fixed
a
those.
couple of years,
There may be one,
3 years ago
there may be one more that
We need to buy.
is in flux.
in our
But-
department.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But yes, any money in your possession is county dollars. Even if it's donations.
$6010-4460 is our legal fees account. We are obligated to pay the cost associated with adoptions of children that are in our child welfare system. And they run between 2,000 and 3,000 for each child. Currently, this year, we have yet to have an adoption. However, there are 3 potential in 2026, so we want to be prepared for those.
That's a good thing.
6010-4511 is accounting/auditing, and that is for the fee associated with our cost allocation plan preparation. 6010-4590 is testing fees, and that actually is the cost of paternity testing.
A whole new meaning to helps.
Grants other, there is nothing for this year. But moving down to the ARP funds associated with foster care recruitment, we have spent the money that was allocated to us. However, some of the expenses that were incurred in late of 24 and in early of 25 fell into a prepaid for 2026 category. Correct me if I'm not saying this right now. We need to be able to have those expenses recognized in 2026. Therefore, the money needs to be in the budget.
If you don't do it now, you'll do it later. So, and again, I'm not gonna derail this meeting, but I've promised the Board of Supervisors and Terry McNall and Brian that we would sit down together and have a larger conversation about how prepaids affect the budget. Because you all budget on a cash basis, like you're gonna pay a 3-year subscription in December. You budget to have that whole bill paid in December. The reality of the accounting system is I have to spread that over 3 fiscal years, so your budget request never matches what actually hits the books. So we have to have a much larger conversation internally about that process.
The good news is this is
The
over
good news
next
is
year.
that I appreciate this preemptive attack, because if you don't do it now, you will do it later, so.
Your Becky was extremely helpful in that planning, so I appreciate her assistance in that area.
And one thing that Brian, you and I can talk about after the fact is if we're spreading the expense over multiple years, we should also be able to spread the revenue over multiple years. So it should end up being budget neutral for 100% funded expense.
All right,
My guess is we've already eaten the revenue fruit, and it should have been spread over the 3 years as well. And sitting in fund balance.
so why? The money's already been spent, am I correct?
So the check has been written to the vendor. The comptroller requires me to spread it over the useful life of the contract, expense side. It becomes a nightmare for your budget. And it
Right.
happens in
So
IT,
there's no way to pay him this year and be done with it.
no, because no matter when you pay it, I have to spread it over the useful life of the contract. It's a nightmare for your budgeting process,
Sure, no, that's.
especially until we embrace a multi-year budget. Right, Mr. O'Brien?
Right.
Even then, we get,
Well, you could at least, you could spread it over the 3 years.
yeah.
Paul and I have been. Voting, Paul and I have been voting a multi-year budget.
Yeah, but years like this that do that in.
It's only as good as the.
This year is like, just because we didn't have multiple,
You know,
it would have helped a lot.
The next line is a similar situation associated with the childcare ARP funding. And again, it was that we paid for services at the beginning of 26 that also will benefit in the beginning of 25.
It will benefit 26.
Correct. Nothing on ARP 2. ARP 3, also that money has been utilized and we're just waiting for a check to come through for the reimbursement for 2025. And I should also note that these fall under Gina's program areas. The Elder Justice Act, ARP funding, was a one-time allocation. The rent supplement program, I had spoken to the revenue side of it earlier on, and this is the expense side.
Is the elder justice the only one that's Gina's?
The ARP 2 and 3 are a shared. It's
But they're all 3 zeros, so it doesn't.
They're all-
correct, all zeros. Yep. The RSP is specific to DSS. It's a program that provides for the ability for us to pay some rent charges and hopefully make it so that the tenant is not evicted.
And you have a multi-year experience, or you know what your award is?
So it's been the same for 2 years. We're hoping the same for 2026. However, the RSP program does not run with the county's budget schedule. It starts, I believe, on June 1st and goes through May 31st. Grants, 4625-2407, family-centered case management. We have received notification that we are going to have the same allocation again for the 25-26 year. That one, I believe, runs October 1st through September 30th. And taking a little bit different direction on that this year, in that a good portion of it is utilized to cover the cost of the employee that is specific to that program. It's 100% reimbursement of their salary and their fringe. And then the rest of it is utilized through a contract with an outside vendor. So we're only budgeting for the amount that we're paying to the outside vendor, and the salary is already contained in the 0.1.
And you'll see the 0.4 side of it, like you'll see Tina's in either January, February of 26 as an amendment. Where you recognize the 0.4 and you recognize the revenue, so that'll be budget neutral when you see it.
Shelter arrears aid, that was a one-time allocation that we received. You may have heard us refer to SAFE, SAEF. It was a small allocation. It was used to also help folks pay their rent and hopefully avoid eviction. And we have spent all of the money and anticipate being reimbursed. However, we don't anticipate another allocation for the county. Also for the AIPP, that's Adoption and Kinship Incentive Program, and that was also a one-time in 2025. 60-10-46-81 at the top of page 77 is a line that we utilize to cover the cost of chargebacks from New York State for OTDA and OCFS for services that they do for us, essentially. An example of that might be client notices. They have a client notice system and they charge us to send out our client notices. That money is charged based on bottom line adjustments to state aid payments. And we are seeing an uptick. It's also something that we don't have control of because we're using their systems. We're obligated to use their systems. It's just the way it flows. So now we're moving into our program areas.
Seems like quite an increase this year. We anticipating something in particular that's gonna drive that up this year.
Well, when the budget was entered, which would have been the end of August, we were already at 60,000. So there is the potential, plus when we consider that we have the opportunity to expense some of that into 2026 for 2025 because of the accrual, there is the potential that we are going to go above the 85,000.
Becky, one of the other things that came up yesterday was Deb Donahue's amount of Easy Pass tolls that she had to pay. And my memory from some of the presentations from Tammy, when you had it specifically, let me get with what word I used. You have a very sensitive case that the placement is out of state. Is that placement in your anticipation going to continue into 2026? Or are we coming to near end of that special placement?
As of right now, it's going to continue.
Okay, because it will affect,
We
we
have,
heard yesterday.
we have several placements actually that are going to require use of an Easy Pass. We have a couple downstate. There are some out in the western area of the state, which I think will all have tolls associated with them.
Because what came up yesterday was, are those cases going to continue because of the level that Deb had budgeted on her?
That one particular case will continue.
Okay.
The Massachusetts one.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you for that.
If she's not charging us back for them,
It's part of her budget,
right?
right?
But does she want to charge us back?
She probably should be, and I can discuss that with her.
Okay.
Because you can recoup some of those costs with my God.
Correct.
If we're not charging you through your carpool bill, we should.
Not.
We
We're
can
just
address
being
that.
carpool.
We can address that immediately.
Okay. So, did that answer your question?
Did.
All right. 6055 daycare. So this is strictly based on an allocation, but here's the piece that I know you're gonna love out, is that daycare starts on October 1st. Today is day one of the 25-26 plan year. And so it's not matching dollar for dollar county budget wise as far as the your calendar, and we are going on federal fiscal for this one. I put in the full allocation.
On the revenue side as well.
I believe so. And we don't know if the state is gonna come through with more money. They had talked about giving us some at one point, but we had to go over county budget in order to achieve receiving that additional
It
funding.
is budget neutral on the budgets,
Right. Which is all that really matters on that line.
because it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Okay. The next line is the child welfare line, 6070 services for recipients. And decreasing by 10,000. Again, this is connected to the FFS program. And we know that they've reduced our budget by 90-some thousand. It's not solely in this particular program area, it's also in other foster care areas. Any questions on that one?
You anticipating an increase, Becky, because you were 687 and then 699. Are you on track to bump over that $700,000 threshold?
In looking at where we were at when we entered the budget, we were high.
Okay,
Nearly 500,000.
Yeah,
I have a question. You said the daycare is the one we have the waiting list for, right?
correct.
yes.
Now, any of these other programs, can we also do a waiting list on also?
Being that that one's child welfare, I'm gonna look to Janine on that one.
There technically always is a waiting list, but the contracts that we have service a certain amount of kids, but obviously there's always other kids that we can put into those programs. So those kids technically are, so to speak, we don't have formal waiting. But we base it on the needs of the child and the family.
That's a question, Brian, not off track from, Nate, but the 491, 947 on the last line we just discussed, the
Correct.
services for
Yep.
recipients. Does that go to, the same calendar year as the before? Is this all of it?
So actually, Title 20 and Triple FS, they run together and they start April 1st.
Probably. That's state. Yeah,
Actually, no,
it's federal.
9-1, right?
I'm thinking
Yes.
9-1.
Yes.
It is, it's federal, because that's for the,
So that's not even a federal
Go back
budget.
to
it's
where-
federal
And
expense.
Triple FS is federal funding.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still, but it's our calendar year either way. That's why it's budgeted this way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm just.
We don't budget for their calendar, we budget for ours.
We budget for us.
That, in looking at it, if this was what we paid during that calendar year,
Our calendar year.
our calendar
This
year.
91 is our calendar year.
Yes.
So the 800,000 will be our
Our
calendar
calendar.
year. Thank you.
Moving on to the Medicaid line. This is strictly for the cost associated with the county's obligation to pay a weekly share of the Medicaid cost. For Washington County,
We're at full cap.
we are. And,
It's the most we ever pay right there.
Yep.
Until they lift it next year.
and,
Oh, I think
I'm,
it'll change
Next
next,
week.
it'll change April 1st.
I'm afraid it will.
I'm hearing that there's going to be something released in January that will give us some direction.
Okay, yeah, right after the budget
You won't
starts.
like,
I know,
That's why your yearly or your multi-year budgeting is the problem. That's the big problem right there, because that's what they do to us every year.
so family assistance 6109. That is a combination of our assistance program cases that are eligible for the federal family assistance funding. And also certain foster care cases fall under the family assistance, or they're considered EAF, emergency assistance to families. And there's a whole bunch of documentation and information that our caseworkers have to gather when they open these cases, and they data enter the information that they receive from the clients, and it creates what their eligibility is going to be. We have zero control over it. It's an extremely convoluted process.
and let me guess, they're different reimbursement rates.
Uh-huh.
Shocking.
You know, you guys, just sitting here listening today, is we all complain about how hard it is to understand the budget, but kudos to Becky. I mean, she's spitting out dates, percentage rates, reimbursements, stuff we've never heard before and off the top of her head. I mean, you are way underappreciated.
I could have told you that.
I was gonna
Yeah, I know, I
say,
think just the first meetings like that, and whether I was like,
I think
Man,
she's told
Stephen.
us a few times.
She's very nice.
It's not new to us, it's new to others, I guess.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
So
Becky.
family assistance, we're moving down to childcare foster care. We currently have a case that has had some changes happen with regard to their eligibility. We believe that it was a system generated issue. And when we brought it to the attention of the state, OCFS specifically, they did some digging and came back to us with, it's an issue with an edit. An edit to me is within the system, within their system, they have edits that capture various aspects of a case, and it shifts those cases to different eligibility. And this one case in question shifted from being 4E foster care into services EAF. I-
Or reimbursement.
Well, we don't know until we know. That's the other thing too.
But it could be.
could be higher.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in this case, it is working to our advantage. Because an out-of-state for replacement had, what was
There was no reimbursement.
so this actually is good in this particular case. How many other cases, though, have these edit issues that are not being
They're
pointed
not
out?
in our, and not in our favor.
Yeah, but we're not getting, like, we're not being told it's on us. You know, we just have to roll with it. But we already did do a resolution for 2025, moving some of our foster care money into 6109 line to help cover the cost of that particular youth. So our foster care line, 6119, 4290. I'm gonna skip CSE and go right to the foster care. That is actually down from 2026. But we have to remind you, we never know what
Correct.
the next phone call is going to bring us. So we'll just continue to monitor as we go through the year. Back up one to 6119 4290.CSE. This is the expense line associated with the CSE kids that are placed by their local school districts. That money allows us to pay the bills to their placement school. And then the revenue side shows the money coming back in from the local school district. And that is reimbursed at 56.848%. 5123 4290 is our juvenile delinquent line. That one, we've already asked for the resolution that we discussed earlier today, the $25,000 shift. It is very difficult to predict how much our cost for transporting juvenile delinquent, or would be another category to use in that. Those, a name for the youth that are involved in that.
Raise the age you.
Right.
That be
Neo,
male and
adult
adult.
offender.
Okay. We can't predict. It's also reliant on when the kid goes to court, what the judge decides is going to be the plan for that individual. Well, we do our best, we watch it, and we need to make changes, we'll come back. $6119 state training. This is a very difficult one.
I was gonna say, who's that for? It's a really
This
big,
is those that are placed with OCFS. These are our youthful offenders that are placed in OCFS custody.
And in part is decided by the judge. We don't have any input on it necessarily, would you agree?
It comes from probation, it involves the county attorney's office, it involves the, the district attorney's office to some degree, and so, yeah, and the judge has the final say.
So for 2025, we are anticipating a budget for 2 youth that we know were placed during the 2024 calendar year. The state is always more than a year behind in billing us. And to predict what that rate might be is almost impossible. Should also add that the state has up to 6 years to bill us for a retro rate increase, and we don't receive any sort of advanced warning when that might happen. We did not include funds in the 2025 budget. If the bill comes in January of 26, we may be talking to Al and Brian for the ability to pay that 2024 bill.
It will depend on the period covered,
Right.
but yes, there will be a conversation.
Okay. As for 2026, would it be your preference that we fund in advance, knowing that we have 2 that had a short time in in OCFS placement during the year 2025.
We'll only need money in 26 if you're going to have a placement. in
Right.
26.
One will be.
Right, cause it would go back to 25s before the books close, all the way through to April. If you got paid if you got billed before you close the books, it'll go to 25s. It won't be on 20s.
Case.
Yeah, it won't be on 26. Well, it's a 2024 case.
Said it was a year.
But 24 books are closed.
Yeah, more than a year lag before
Yeah,
we receive a bill.
So the chances of not having it by April. You can't guarantee you would even know by April,
Agreed.
so. I see where she's thinking, do you want her to put the money in the 2026 budget, because you may not have the bill from 2024 in time to pay it, or 2025 before the end. of
but that's the
in
same
April.
circumstance we're in right now for 2024 bill, so why put it in?
You were looking for changes, it was just not.
Well, that's a change you take to help the budget this year.
No reduction there.
So
Scratch
this
it.
is-
So we're gonna scratch the
it feels to
200,000.
me like the-
Just
the-
out of curiosity, do you have a, what this bill's gonna be?
I
Must be
do.
200,000.
I have an estimate,
It's 200,000.
a little higher,
Higher.
about
Just check.
247, we're thinking, for the 2024 service period.
This sounds to me like the best way to get around cash versus accrual and multi-year accounting.
Yeah,
Because when you become aware that you have something, he's in there, or they're in there in 2024. You start building the liability side of that and you fund it. And those roll over, because you know at the end of 2024.
So that is exactly the conversation that I alluded to 5 minutes ago
Okay.
with Becky.
yeah,
We will so I will record an estimated liability on the books for what we know to be true,
Right.
so that I don't have a big spike in 26.
And the funding that didn't get spent will
But it
roll
sounds
over.
like there will be a continuation, at least for a portion of 26.
And you don't collapse on an accrual basis, you may collapse some of the numbers that never will materialize,
Yes,
but you keep.
and eventually it will catch up with the actual benefit. But I can smooth it out over multiple fiscal.
And that a multi-year program.
right.
We'll do
But
that.
usually we don't get told, let alone know. And in this time when right now, you would take that out of the budget because you're at 40%, you're trying to get everything you can get out to get a budget that.
And do we get some
Makes
of that
sense.
back?
You were aware that it's
Did
there.
pay training
We need to
100%
make
local?
sure. Where we need.
But like,
HCS placement.
Budget.
That's all us, right? Because it's in their
And we're
facility.
supposed to make.
They only bill us the
Yeah.
local share.
We're
portion.
responsible.
They only bill the local share.
Yeah.
It's gonna work out.
What is the billing ratio?
I believe it's 50% state, 50% local. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I just can't believe that you have a cost that much and our portion's $250,000. How long's that placement been for? 3 years?
Started in 24.
Am I correct to say that that would be a secure placement also?
Yeah.
So there's extra in that service.
I would take it out. Is that where you were at or no?
The struggle I'm having is
I agree. It's
If
gonna
it-
come due sometime, but
if it's in there, we're taxing for it. If it's not in there, I'm placing my fund balance on the
Right.
ladder, so.
well, that's where we were on the earlier one.
Correct. Unless,
But what if it comes tomorrow?
but
It's not gonna.
my fear is, we were just told it's gonna continue into 26. If you think that
Oh.
26 will come anywhere near the 200,000, I'd rather leave it.
Yeah,
But we're still gonna have to backfill.
Yeah.
25.
Right.
24.
Which will be a fund balance hit immediately.
right,
But if we're going to have a.
right. If you think
we have an exposure to
26, I'd leave it in.
Right.
Nice.
You're not gonna wanna hit fund balance a second. I don't believe,
Don't wanna hit it the first
but you're going to.
time.
So if the bill comes in time, you're gonna hit fund balance.
Well, we'll have borrowed money by then.
So if we think multi-year approach, then, is this an anomaly? This one case?
we'd love to say
Yeah,
yes,
I.
but it's not, and we're kind of trending high for these types of cases, right?
So. Guess point to that is there's gonna be something
Every
on this
year.
line every year.
Yeah,
We're
it's
gonna get
kind of the way we
multi-year
went with mental health, it's the same idea.
Wrong way,
Yeah,
right, a way, by one way or another.
yeah.
To Melissa's earlier point, don't make it zero.
That's right. That's right, you're just gonna shoot yourself in the foot.
If you're uncomfortable with 200, I get that, but the number's not zero.
Yeah, these are ones we can do nothing about.
So what are you recommending?
We're gonna leave it.
Probably leave it alone.
Leave the 200?
Yeah.
Sorry, I know it was a long
Okay.
time getting there, but
I mean,
I'm sorry, what's that?
Is this part of the problem of race age?
And these kids are committing horrible crimes at this point. So yes, we're not seeing anybody who's like maybe breaking windows, anyone in cars. There's stabbing, there's murder cases now.
So
So
they're in that raise that age gap.
And if
So
they were-
they came back.
Or if they were trying to
Some of
sell.
it, yes.
situation.
yeah, most of them are felony cases, yes.
okay, 6140 safety net.
Favorite.
This, so 6140 4290 is just safety net related expenses, which would encompass any assistance benefits that are paid to the, adult clientele, and also for services rendered on their behalf. So that would be for placement in a motel. It could be we're helping them with their rent because they're eligible for that. And we have obviously seen an increase. Moving on to the next one.
This is the biggie we got whacked with, this is our hotel room. And I fully understand the state law. I understand what the state law says. What would happen if we said, no, we're gonna fund this up to $1 million. And after $1 million, we're done. Everybody in the hotel goes out the street. We can't do anything till we get some more money.
Be liable.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, perhaps, what would happen?
I'm gonna guess a big lawsuit.
Yeah.
Resulting in, take it one more step further.
Result in
That's
what?
Who do we pay? Who lose? What do we pay?
the question that he's not.
I know they're
asking
gonna
is-
come, no, somebody is gonna come serve me with some paper,
Yes, well, they're fine less than the cost.
but what would,
Good question. No, I mean,
and there's gonna be some really sad cases out there. Some domestic violence, people that are standing on the street with their babies under their arms and. you
It's
know,
different funding.
Some,
Okay, oh, so that's not so bad, that's not so bad,
That helps.
that helps.
I would also,
I guess I would also wonder, are you gonna pick and choose? Yeah.
Right.
Are you gonna
Right.
pick and choose who you put out?
No, we're not gonna pick and choose, we're just done to the number,
No,
So then
it's over.
are you talking about putting a family out there? Cause then you're gonna add other things onto what other people do here within the county also.
there's all kinds of ramifications. I'm wondering what they are.
I mean, the things that we want to concentrate is on trying to get some wraparound services and reduce the number of days, things like that, have a different approach. But, you know, I totally understand. We talked about this,
Yeah.
about this number, and nobody likes this. But I think it's something that we can work down. I truly believe that. But to say no, I know where we would find ourselves in civil. You know, not to mention maybe fiscally, but ethically, morally, the implications could be quite serious.
There's a whole range of things from, you know, from litigation to punitive damages to all kinds of stuff.
Well, it could be popular with some, and it could be really, really unpopular with others.
Well,
It's just
I think
dangerous
I'm
territory.
not sure it's popular with anybody.
anyway, but I think the chairman is putting up what's really an important thought exercise and a talk through exercise. And say, Adam, at X for this purpose, we're done with that purpose. at Y for Y's purpose, where you would domino the whole thing, so. Every single one of them would have a hard limit, because the county will only pay for the sum of X plus Y plus Z, and that's our stand. Philosophically, it's terrible. I understand that, but in the recognition of what
Well, it's not
we're
even,
experiencing.
on one sense, it's not even philosophically that tough. We're saying, you know, no, we can't deal with a 45% increase. We're taking it down to 20 by doing this.
We can't afford it.
They talk about hard decisions, let's make.
This,
What-
the program operates under the assumption we have a blank check and we don't.
Right.
It's just,
But aren't we kind of doing the same thing with the daycare? We put a cap on it, we're not going over
But
that.
they allow that.
That's allowable.
That was allowable.
Yep, and going, it's the same working theory.
No, it's the same theory.
I think it's remarkably different, because you got people coming in the door and getting the service, discreet thing right then. And if somebody comes in the door and say, I need it now, then, no, you don't get it. This one, you've got people in and out. And, you know, different services for different people and different placements for different people, and I think this one. The only way you can do it with a dollar amount, after a dollar amount, we stop doing everything. We close at 10.
I can tell you that probably in our 2 days together this has been the top conversation besides working on budget. Which, we're not done with either, but that process, I mean, we're gonna go through process to try to figure out how we can help those folks and reduce the number of days. So essentially, even if we do have an increase or the same amount of folks that we're helping, we hope to strongly diminish those number of days that people are under our care in hotels. And things like
If we
that.
took $1 million out of that, would that help incentivize your activities?
Well, I mean, our incentive is we want to be fiscally responsible to our community. I mean, that we already have the incentive. We already have the drive. This is something we want to do. We feel responsible to do. I mean, it's of course, my understanding, the final say is going to be in the Board of Supervisors.
But right now, we're taking $3.3 million out of the taxpayers' pockets right now. And I'm trying to figure out if there's some way we could not take that out right now.
What's even worse is I'm looking at the actual, and if that's a half year, it's gonna double, that'd be 3.4 million.
We're gonna blow this year's
Exactly.
budget.
We're gonna blow this year's budget by whatever.
well, it's warm.
Doesn't matter whether it's warm, they're still in the hotel even though it's warm. So that's my question, we're already $1.2 million when your own estimate in New World was 1.9 above on the net
Let
cost.
me ask this differently.
So
There's 3 levels of being able to place people that come in. And one is with policy 4, one is, getting back to the families, you try that first. The next is some of the faith-based shelters. Third is some of the counties are keeping their code blue stuff open year round. We don't do a heck of a lot in code blue in Washington County. What if we took some of that money from the program expenses and put it into a code blue subcontractor? That's, I think, helps out with your cutting down number of days, because they come in for the night, they stay, and then you go out. And if you need it again, come on back the next night. I think that's a less palatable thing than putting your feet up and watching TV in the hotel. Would that be an approach to?
I mean, we've talked about a couple of different approaches we're gonna try. Some of them could include spending money to try to get to that spot where we're saving money in the long run and not that much of a long run. But I mean, I don't have an answer for you as far as killing that number. I mean, because it's a mandate and it's something that we can do our best to manage. And I think there's definitely room for that. Is a part of.
I think you are already. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no,
I'm not-
I understand.
We are contracting, so we have beds that we're contracting with to try and get these guys, some of these people that come through homeless, to get some of those wraparound services, so we can get them out quick.
Yeah.
Our numbers are decreasing, we've
Yeah.
seen it. So, but we are coming into the colder weather.
But are they decreasing just because of the weather? Are they, so have they decreased June, July and August compared to June, July and August of last year? Because I don't have June, July and August of last year numbers to compare to.
I don't.
So that's what I don't know. You gave us the ones for this year, but what were they last
So
year?
could they be provided your census for last year?
We could, I know we could look back, we would have, I don't know that we could do as deep of a dive as we've done over the last several months. But I think we could look back and at least see on, because like at the end of each one,
You
how
think
many
the
people
census
were
would be easy
in,
to figure out?
in the motel, we would
That's
be able
easy.
to do something like that.
Yeah.
It may not be as deep of a dive.
No,
as
I think a simple census really.
Yeah,
could be-
because the census is the one I saw, and it showed the numbers and it all sounded good in the grand scheme. But since you can't compare it to those should be your lightest months, June, July, and August. So if I got nothing to compare it to, that doesn't mean that September, October, and November don't go the other way again.
I don't think you need to categorize like how many were prison inmates.
Right.
Anywhere.
We don't
You
care
just
about
like the census.
I think we might.
We might wanna know that.
Oh, yeah, I think we're gonna wanna pull,
Follow the Yankee approach, and throw them off the street. That's gonna we throw all the inmates out, they're all gonna go back into jail because they're on probation, they got no place to stay, they gotta go back to jail. Well, that's gonna increase our costs over there. Like we have, I mean, there's a lot of the ancillary effects, and I wasn't necessarily advocating for, cutting $1 million off this, but I think does consider things like that.
so I think that, in the first 4 hours on Monday, I asked for, I asked for numbers, they sent me numbers. And then we're gonna start to, really go through them and set some, those are our first priority goals that we're gonna set for this agency. To work that down, if we find that is priority.
Yes, sir.
So my question is, how much is census increasing versus the cost of being charged for motel rooms and stays? How much is that impacting last year?
Well, some of these hotels it can kind of a hostage situation too, where they determine the rates and we could try to barter rates and, but in the shelters, we don't have any shelters in Washington County where there is significant cost savings to do the work. You even have a contract with that at SOS that's saving money because the folks that we're sending to there are, moving out of homelessness in 75 days, right? And that's ideal instead of being 200 days, 300 days where we're having to pay.
And just the last thing, I gotta go, how much more screening do we do when they come in and say, I'm homeless, I live in Washington County?
Well, I mean, there's a factor
Versus
in the
the fact
law
that-
where it's, where found. And we did have discussions with that too, in regards to like, releases from the hospital, things like that. I think we released in Warren County. So we're looking at every angle that all of you have brought up.
Yeah, but
We
in
understand.
fairness, if an alien dropped from Mars, we would know he was found here, but we know he wasn't from here. We can't do that with individuals.
We are asking those questions.
Yeah.
And
But if
so,
they say-
but if they show up here, we have to meet the immediate need. So there's follow-up conversations with, if we discover that he's, got staff open in Warren County or something like that, there are conversations that are followed up with those counties that this is your person. So.
Correct.
And
And
that's
that's something
Right,
we're
and
gonna
it's
pay.
happening.
That should take less than 24 hours. They should be gone.
Well, I can tell you that typically when we have, I'm going to, I don't know this for sure here, but typically what I've seen is the past, the folks come in to Department of Social Services at homeless pretty close to the end of the day,
Oh,
So-
so if you close.
right? So, or yeah, with an on-call or something like that. So you might have a night or two placement or something before you're able to figure things out. If it's a Friday, you've got
The whole weekend.
3 nights there. I mean, but then we pay attention and we get to work on that case and you start to do some homework and figure out if there's, just like Janine said, is there an open snap case in Rensselaer County or Schenectady County, and then we can move that person to that community.
But we are screening during on-call purposes as well, and I'll share with you that we just recently turned away like 3 or 4 different people within the last couple of days. As we, based on our questioning and stuff, found out that their last known address might have been in Saratoga or Warren County, or they have an open case somewhere else. So it is happening.
Thanks.
Have we ever had,
Usually going to dentist.
what happens if nobody will take them in our county or one county? What if there's no? You
Room
talked
at the
about no
end.
money, but what if
Yeah.
there are no?
But there's no room.
What do they do? What do we do?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
If
that?
there's no room at the end, where do they
What
go?
if there's
You
actually,
gotta find a place.
what does that mean? Gotta find a place.
They could
And I'd
go
ask
to
them
a
for
further
res-
town.
Keep
I'd
going-
add further
keep going to the
maybe
next town until you find-
resources that
Right.
we've
How
had to-
far away would we
we've
have to
had to
go?
place.
Dresden.
Albany,
You have to go all the way to Dresden.
Dresden,
Sometimes, has it ever been that there's no place? What's the furthest we've had to go?
Connected.
and then we've already to provide transportation to get them back here for their follow-up.
Right,
From there and back.
right.
And we're paying taxi cabs, right, do a lot of those transports.
Law enforcement will sometimes do it if they have the available, if they're with a law enforcement officer and they have the ability to do that, they sometimes transport.
Which takes precedence if they get found homeless here, come into the door, and then they get out of the police car and get arrested for possession in another county. Sorry, I mean, it's just so crazy. I'm not trying to make light.
Then they have different kind of accommodations at that point
If we
to
recommend
cancel their
United
room.
For a night, and they get room by the hotel, they're then almost were found in Connecticut.
No, I don't.
I'm
then
being
they're-
facetious.
Yes.
It's just, well, no money versus no rooms, it's the same problem.
This probably isn't solved.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna take us a minute.
No cost is
A minute.
But
$9
it,
a day.
but it's absolute
We're
priority.
good.
I understand. It's happening live. That's what's happening in the economies, in
Sure.
community.
Everywhere.
And I think also that conversations that we've had is that our concentration is serving Washington County folks.
Yeah.
People in Washington County, right? So that's gonna be our concentration. But this is, I feel your pain 100%. It's something that I know. I know that system. We've had many conversations with it over the last 48 hours. It's something that we are prioritizing. And we're gonna work really hard to get that number down.
Thank you for that, man. Yes, thanks. Sorry,
But
a
just,
lot of digression.
the problem is, today, we've heard about mental health, small amount of people. It's a very small amount of people, even in this, even though the number's big. And, even assigned counsel is a very small amount of people. I don't know if we're talking a whole 1,000 people that are costing us millions.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's not fair to the 60,000 that are funding that whole
Correct.
bill.
I agree.
You see,
You're ruining the quality of life for the whole county for a very specific few. It's not like the 1%ers that people want to complain about. It's the opposite spectrum. It's a problem. And we need to find a way to fix that.
Yes,
And that's
I agree.
really where we're at.
we're 6 hours into this. We have a little bit more to go.
That's little.
Just a little bit.
Yes, and I'll try to be quick.
Thank you.
So, that was 6140, 4290. Now, just below that is 6140, 4400.02, which is our code blue contract line. And we do not have our allocation yet for the 25-26 season, budgeting flat. Based on not having that allocation.
My expectation that number will stay flat.
Open door. It'll open door anyone want.
We share the cost with Warren County.
Right.
6141, 4290 is heap, down by 2,000 just based on trend. Again, that money is only for the delivery of small cash benefits to our clients that are HEAP eligible. However, they are in a situation where their household, their rent is includes the heat cost. And lastly, we have 6142 emergency aid for adults. That's see, for this year, seeing an uptick. Yeah, and again, that's an eligibility issue, whomever might come in that fits into that category. And we've asked for an additional 5,000 for 2026.
What's reimbursement? Their engineer.
It's not good on that one. And I'm not super familiar with what the eligibility is for that program.
Hope somebody is.
Becky, can you return to safety net? Because I don't mean to get rid of this.
No, you're good.
It's my understanding that there's like a 29% reimbursement rate for that, but it goes on forever. There's no cutoff on.
Not capped.
But the more we have there, the less, the more that drags down our overall.
The cost goes up and then you end up with this.
0%. Yeah, right, on safety net,
Nope, 29%
on
Across the
ad,
board.
on the admin associated with safety net. Yes.
because the budget sheets that was shared.
Yeah.
budget showed zero.
One of the sheets you sent us said it was 0. So I don't know. And that was off a state website, right? Wasn't, and that wasn't even our sheet.
I think they told me out in Niagara Falls that, there was a little minimum for that, but not the same reimbursement rate.
That'd be wonderful.
Because I asked that question.
That would be good. I was off the
Quite
state.
confident that it's 29% on the administrative
Yeah, I
cost.
think it's. Which is pretty damn low, actually, for state mandated program, which why would all vote?
Far cry from 75.
So I'm gonna bring it on home. Last two pages, page 80. 6772 OFA. And what you'll see on this page, again, are salaries and wages. Fringe benefits. There was a conversation about buyouts and incentives, and this is projected here based on not receiving formal notice of a resignation or a retirement, but based on individual's eligibility. So remind me again, are we keeping that in there? Is it
Well, if you're pretty sure they're leaving, I would leave it in. But if you're not, if you think they're gonna stay, I wouldn't have.
The difference between you and the earlier conversation is DSS will always have something in that line. You haven't had anything in 3 years. So unless you know, I wouldn't budget.
So remove it?
But the right to retire doesn't equal the ability to retire.
Right.
I may be speaking from experience.
No, that's true.
So we'll
Oh,
remove the
okay.
15,000.
There you go.
Yeah.
Table. I know, it's all the risk.
And then again, just seeing the slight increase based on, as I spoke earlier, the registered dietitian part-time position was moved from the subcontractor line as a subcontracting position, and now it is a part-time position, so that's a 29,000 increase.
Is that filled yet?
That is not
Still
filled.
not filled yet. And we're good through the end of the year because this year's diets are all certified, but next year we might be in trouble.
I believe right now, the arrangement that we have, the MO
working.
that we correct with the Association on Aging, we're able to tap into their registered dietitian services at no cost.
Forgot about that.
We have to leave it out.
Thank you.
We have to leave it out there though that we're trying.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Page 81.
It's kind of like that's funny that you gotta demonstrate you're working.
Right.
Line 2070 for vehicles, just bring it to your attention. We purchased vehicles in 2022 and 2023. We purchased 10 vehicles in 2022, 1 vehicle in 2023, and these vehicles support the nutrition program, and they're used primarily for the home delivered meals routes. Just raising attention that at some point, we should have a discussion on how to move forward.
Yeah, we just put a big bubble in the.
Well, they had been 12 years before. They were old. They were old cars.
Do you wanna put all?
Weren't they
They
like
had high mileage cars.
Oh, yeah, but they were like 2010.
Just kidding.
Yeah, so I
Just to
mean,
have
we
high mileage
try to,
cars.
we need to start
When
trying
we
to
accepted the
replace
grant and
them.
bought the cars, go back and replay that conversation.
Right,
Yeah,
this was,
I think I mentioned the bubble.
yeah, no, we talked about this, but
Maybe
it
not
just,
2026.
this just didn't turn out to be the year.
I know,
Well,
but eventually we're gonna have to suck it
But,
up.
but they're 4 years old.
These
So,
are higher mileage vehicles.
Yes, they are.
because they go every day, no matter what, yes.
I can share with you that we did put a plan in place, where we used to have cars assigned to certain routes. And so certain routes, as we know, Putnam.
Are longer than the other.
Correct. So we just did a swap this week where we were putting low mileage cars and swapped them into the higher mileage routes. to
So
kind
they
of
stay
try to
the
create
same.
some Equity between mileage.
Thank you.
We gotta come up with a long-term, multi-year plan to get you,
Right.
kind of on track for replacements. Otherwise, you're gonna be sitting there with
And we-
10 the rest of the.
We should be able to do that through carpool as we revamp it and take away cars. That might be the opportune time to institute that.
And it might be time to get the band back together on the 5-year capital plan, because right now, that plan really needs to expand beyond Matt Jones.
Right.
Our capital plan should be a county-wide capital
Capital
plan.
plan.
It includes things like this. Currently, it does not.
Go ahead.
Bringing you to line 4291. Again, this line covers our special events, like our senior picnic, our fall festival. Just sharing with you that we did a slight increase on this line based on the fairgrounds now charging us a larger fee for the use of the fairgrounds. I can tell you next year, it was confirmed literally today that we have a day where we are actually looking to combine both events, the fall festival and the senior picnic in the fall. October 2nd is the date, I believe, that we have confirmed to use the fairgrounds for the use of their space. And so typically we collect table contributions, which kind of pays for our events. I know that was a question earlier for a previous department. At this point, we're looking to again combine cost and create almost a wash with our revenue that comes in for that.
So we use this, Gina?
The next one is easier.
We have to spend it to get it back and
Yeah,
combine those on one line.
yeah.
Thank you.
That's been a lesson I've had to learn.
Thank you.
We're all gonna learn.
I think if I put the treasure in the dump booth next year, we can raise all the money we need to fund the event.
Yeah.
We'll get that.
I believe that
for you.
was a suggestion in cash.
Even Debbie.
So your petty cash, I mean, I'm just looking back at your previous petty cash expenses and then looking at what you did in 2025. Is there a reason for keeping it at 2745?
So we do have an actual amount in that account at this time. Those again, petty cash are collected through donations, memorial funds. We did receive a large donation when a nonprofit, what am I saying, like folded? They gave us a large contribution. So that is why you're seeing that number there, 2745.
So that you can spend it on something.
Correct. So we do.
And that's not taxpayer dollars, these is donation.
Correct.
It's a reflection of.
It's county money.
and that-
It's county dollars, but I get what she's saying, it has to go back out that same.
So you have an offsetting revenue.
Yes,
I might, yeah, I think that's the revenue. There's a revenue line.
Unfortunately, they're just connected. The
Yeah.
revenue could have happened years ago.
Correct. And
Right,
it
just
it
rolled
actually
over.
happened.
This is a,
This money, and again, I could have this conversation with Becky and Gina. This money may be better served as a trust fund,
that's what it is.
where we have youth run there through the trust fund. It might be time to have that conversation with you all as well.
Okay.
Where we're the custodian of the money, but not county budgeted down.
so was that it with the OSA? So my
Right.
question's gonna be, good,
I just wanted to give you one note before you wrap up their budget. Just informational purposes for the board. I'm currently waiting, because this goes to our cash flow conversations we've been having. My current receivable from the state for the DSS claims is $5,078,000. That's what I've got my tin cup out for right now. And that's only claims through June.
Yeah, that's only gets bigger.
So July, August and September aren't even in that 5 million yet. But I've got my tin cup out waiting for mine.
That we would be getting,
That's
we could be getting back or interest on
The
that.
unfunded mandates are only a piece of the puzzle. The cash flow issue isn't fair either. Because that's money that the county's out waiting to someday get done.
It's gotten slower or has this been consistent?
The state's
We
broke.
see it cycle, Supervisor. I mean, it could be as low as $2.3 million. I don't think I've ever seen it much lower than that, but 5 million's a
Good job.
It's
for
okay.
our size county, 5 million's a decent amount of money.
So that's where I wanted to go is, we know there's unfunded mandates. But we also know we have non-mandated stuff down in DSS. And that was how we got out of the foster care certification years ago, was because we were in dire straits. And we got out of the business, and getting back in it did not, in my opinion, it hasn't helped. I would like to get back out of anything that's not mandated right now in this department, because I don't know how I'm gonna cut $12 million out of this budget in 4 weeks' time, but I know that's gotta be the goal.
I don't know if we can do anything at this point in time. It's like a conversation where in 13th hour, and okay, we're gonna sign something. But I think this is an important conversation.
It is an important conversation, and that's why I'm sending it out there, because that gives them it gives them some time to think about it, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a department head meeting on Monday that I've already scheduled. And we're gonna have to get out of things that aren't mandated, because we can't afford them anymore. We just can't afford them. We have created a government bureaucracy here that we cannot afford.
Get a list of all the programs that aren't mandated versus mandated. He's trying.
I tried, but I haven't got that from any department yet.
We can work on that. I think one thing though, that the question we're asking ourselves, we know a strong majority of our programs against mandates, right? That's, we're all in agreement there. What we need to look at is some of our non-mandate programs. Are they saving us money down the road, right? So
Absolutely.
we're doing a correlation right now, or we haven't done it yet. We've had the conversation over the last 2 days of saying, hey, by having this team in place to do this work, are we gonna be able to help reduce those numbers of folks in length of stay in hotel rooms, things like that? So what we need to do, right, is find out, yes, there may be a non-mandated program, but it could, on the back end, be saving us money. And that's what we need to discover, right? So what we're doing here, if you notice, and Becky's been invaluable to our discussions, is we're, as our folks over here are paying attention to our program stuff and looking into some of the questions that I'm asking, and they're doing great at that. We're bringing our, what I call, this is our gray folks. They tend to work in the gray a lot because they're program folks, right? They're people folks. And our accounting folks are black and white. They work in numbers, right? It is what it is. So we're trying to bring a little more integration between our numbers folks and our program people in to figure out exactly what we can do to try to save money down the road, because we still have a duty to provide quality services to this county, to people that need them. So how can we do that more efficiently? We're diving into that hardcore.
And I just spoke to the question I was gonna ask, even within the mandated services. I hope that we're looking at how we provide a service.
Sure.
Didn't we do the Chevy instead of the Cadillac?
I might have to give you X, but I might not have to do it at the
That's
Cadillac plan, right?
And I might not have to do it yesterday. I might be able to do it tomorrow.
We're at the mercy of the vendors, though.
Even
We
the
don't have-
mandated services, some of it, we can choose how we deliver the
Yep.
service.
Yeah, I mean, we've all decided, we know we have to think outside the box, that we have to look at things with a different lens. To be responsible to our taxpayers and our community and still provide the service, right? So it's a two-way street, but we'll get there. We're confident we're gonna get there.
But in 3 weeks, I have to have a budget
Yeah, I know,
prepared to come out the week later.
But it's just
We'll
a
do the best we
budget.
can to-
It's amendable. It will change, unfortunately.
But
We gotta
I
give it back.
still have to get it in an area where our elderly can survive. And it's not anywhere close to that. It's not even close. That's where I'm at.
We don't. Anything else? Just saying.
Tomorrow's
almost
today,
4
we'll see you all tomorrow.
So is there any other business to come before this joint meeting? And we,
I think we're adjourned.